The Penguins could be the first back-to-back winners since the Edmonton Oilers of 1987 and 88. At 1:30 today, the Stanley Cup was being prepared, readied as it must be when any team wins 3 games. An experienced guy, a committed guy who has won 5 cups of his own, spoke about tonight's important game for his team.
I think whenever you have an opportunity to nail it down, you have to take advantage of it. I don't think we want to give them any kind of life or any kind of opportunity to get back into the thing, whether it happens tonight or the next game or the game after that. If chance is there, you just got to bear down.
Will the Penguins claim the Stanley Cup, or will Chicago prolong the agony? We'll know soon enough. Hi, this is Nick Halling along with John Lawless, welcoming you to the Chicago Arena in Chicago for Game 4 of the series, a series the Pittsburgh Penguins have dominated. They lead it 3-0. They won on this very rink just 2 nights ago. There was 1 goal for them late in the first period. It came from Kevin Stevens. It ricocheted around, and that 1 goal, good enough for the Pittsburgh Penguins, John.
Yeah, McEachran wins the draw deep in Chicago's end, back-to-back, who 1 times it. But Pittsburgh get a lot of men in front of the goal, and the puck just trickles by Belfour.
And that was it as far as Game 3 was concerned. The Penguins leading 3-0. In fact, the strange thing about this series, we've had the law of diminishing returns in operation. We had loads of goals in the first game, just 1 in Game 3. I'm sure we're going to have a few more in this game tonight. Let's just remind ourselves of the scoring in the Stanley Cup so far. Cast your mind back about 5 days to the first period of Game 1. It was all Chicago. They led it 3-1 at the end of that period. Chelios, Goulet and Graham scoring for the Blackhawks. Phil Bourque for Pittsburgh. It became 4-1 Chicago early in the second period, but then Rick Tocchet and Mario Lemieux brought the game to within 4-3 and set up a grandstand finish in the third period. Jaromir Jagr with the goal of the tournament so far, leveled it up, 5 minutes left, and then just 13 seconds remained when Mario Lemieux popped in the winner on the power play. Game 2, Bob Errey scoring for Pittsburgh, short-handed halfway through the first period. That one very much against the run of play. The second period was a bit closer. Brian Marchment managed to fight Chicago back level, but then 2 lightning strikes from Mario Lemieux wrapped up Game 2. 2-0 Pittsburgh in the series, and that goal from Kevin Stevens made it 3-0 in the series. Pittsburgh now just 1 win away from retaining their Stanley Cup title. And John, we have to say that one of the stories of Pittsburgh's success has been their defensive discipline. In comparison, we're going to see in a minute, Chicago really lost their cool late in Game 3. They'd pulled Ed Belfour for the last minute. They had a 6-on-5, and then Chris Chelios, their number 7, completely lost his rag and deservedly got thrown out of the game.
Yeah, the sticks are coming up high here. Murphy's in deep in his end, and Chelios is retaliating here. He took a couple of shots early on, but you gotta have your self-discipline here. Murphy picks himself off the ice. Chelios goes right back at him. The play's going out of the end, and he just cross-checks him right in the head, which is a deliberate attempt to injure. And he's off to the showers early.
Chris Chelios, a veteran player, one of the leaders of the Chicago Blackhawks, really should have known a lot better than that. Thrown out a major misconduct penalty. You got to give credit to this guy, Larry Murphy. He was having none of it, was he?
Yeah, he showed a lot of cool, a lot of self-discipline. He took a lot of shots in the head, but he's still on the ice, and Chelios is down in the Chicago dressing room, and obviously letting the team down. And Mike Keenan's not impressed at all. We have a few choice words to say to Chelios.
Yes, Chris Chelios really should have known a lot better than that. He blew the opportunity that the Blackhawks had to try and draw level. They had that 6-on-5 for the last minute, but that advantage torn away from them by a moment of madness from Chris Chelios. Now, we've talked about Pittsburgh's offensive firepower at great length in the past, John. I think we've got to pay tribute to their defense. We've already mentioned Larry Murphy and how cool he's been under fire. They've had a lot of very smart defensive players, and the pick of them, of course, the goalie, Tom Barrasso.
Barrasso's come up big. He's a big goalie. He stood up throughout this series. Earlier on in the series, he might have went down a little bit, which exposed his 5-hole, but he's coming up, making that initial save, And Pittsburgh's defense are clearing the puck from in the slot area and not allowing Chicago that second opportunity.
Well, one guy that has also impressed me is the youngster, only his second season, Jim Pack from Korea, the league's only Korean player, a guy that really is developing nicely.
Very nicely indeed. When you look to a Stanley Cup winning team, you look for the big names, and obviously Pittsburgh, you're looking at Lemieux, but Pack has risen his game, and I think that's spread out through the whole team. Everybody's lifted their game for this series.
Now, Pittsburgh's bad boy, of course, is my old mate Ulfie. There he is, but he could have also almost put a halo on top of his head for this series, couldn't he?
Yeah, he's I think, the key man, really. He's only had 2 minutes in penalties in the last 12 games, and I think Chicago would have been looking towards Samuelsson and spending a lot of time in the box, and he hasn't, and I think that's reflected throughout the whole team. A lot of discipline. Very
disciplined, very tough, and when they have a lead, they keep it. We've also got to talk about Chicago's offense. We talked about Jaromir Roenick, we talked about Steve Larmer, what they could do. Things look good for them in that first period of Game 1. Since then, where have they been? What do they have to do in Game 4 to turn things around?
I think Pittsburgh's defense is still going to be standing up the little offense that Chicago has shown to this series. But if they have a chance, Chicago's going to have a lot better shooting. Their shots are going to have to be more accurate, and they're going to have to follow up the shots a lot better. I think right now Pittsburgh's defense is just shutting them down, forcing Chicago to take long shots. And Barrasso's gaining confidence, I think, throughout the game. He realizes he's only going to have 5 or 6 shots per period, and 2 or 3 of them might be long ones. So he's got to come up with just a couple big saves, which only can, like I say, increase his confidence.
Chicago have to find the net early in this game, don't they? I get the feeling that if Pittsburgh get ahead, that could be the series gone. Yeah,
and also, they're at home. Chicago fans have had nothing to cheer about. So if they get a goal early, that will lift the crowd, it'll lift the team, they'll start believing in themselves again, and Pittsburgh might drop their heads a little bit, you know, because they can still count themselves, you know, fortunate enough to be up 3 games. When the games, you know, especially that Game 1 could have went either way.
They haven't played with the kind of flair we normally associate the Pittsburgh Penguins, have they? There was that moment from Jaromir Jagr in Game 1, a couple of strikes from Lemieux in Game 2, and that's just been about it. Not much flair, but they're getting the job done.
Yeah, they've got the flair, definitely. But I think any team that wins the Stanley Cup has to have everything in every department. They've got the discipline, which we've seen. They've got the defense, which we've seen, and also they've got the offensive power. So if they can match Chicago's defense, they should outmatch them on the offense, and it's been proven so far in the series. Like, who would have thought that scoring 1 goal would win you a game in the Stanley Cup final?
You've got to turn the clock back 50 years to find the one and only time that a team overcame a 3-goal deficit to win the Stanley Cup. That's the kind of historical mountain that the Chicago Blackhawks are going to have to climb. Do you think they're going to do it?
I don't think they'll actually win the series, win the Stanley Cup, but I'd be surprised if Chicago, you know, didn't win tonight. They've got a lot to play for. They want to win for their fans. They want to prove that Pittsburgh aren't 4 games better than that.
I get the feeling that Mike Keenan will have said to his guys, look, we haven't played to our potential, maybe we've lost the thing already, but at least let's go out there and for 1 game show them what we can do.
Yeah, go out and enjoy it. Hey, we've gotten this far, you know, we've been disciplined, we've done everything by the book, and okay, it hasn't worked out, so let's go out and enjoy it. And if we lose, we can lose with our heads held high.
So Chicago should come out and enjoy themselves. As we go over for the national anthems, our commentators, as ever, will be Bill Clement and Jigs McDonald. And as you can see, Chicago Blackhawks fans still hopeful. Game 4 of the Stanley Cup just a few minutes away.
Chicago Stadium get any noisier? Perhaps, if the Blackhawks score a goal. Tonight's game will be refereed by Andy Van Hellemond. Swede Knox and Ray Scapanello work the lines. Andy Van Hellemond in his 30th Stanley Cup final game in a long and great career, working here tonight. Game 4 of the series between the Blackhawks and the Penguins. Tom Barrasso, off a shutout of the Blackhawks on Saturday night, has lowered his goals against average to 2.71 in the net for the Penguins tonight.
And what a recovery Ed Belfour made after Game 1. Excellent in Game 2, tremendous in Game 3. Even if he had been flawless in Game 3, it would have only forced overtime.
And the opening face-off is brought to you by Molson, a part of the NHL tradition since 1957. Molson is Canadian beer. The Blackhawks in the white uniform. Defending the goal to the right, Sutter, Leteau. Chelios met solidly by Kevin Stevens as he moved the puck out. And here's Mario Lemieux. And Kevin Stevens across the line, but Steve Smith knocked it out of his reach, and at center ice it's recovered by Graham. There's Graham. Checked, and here's Lemieux. Stevens up the left side, took the pass and gave it right back. Lemieux with a shot. Belfour his first save. And Brent Sutter clears the puck off the boards and down the ice. This will be an icing call against Chicago.
Scotty Bowman once again has a team sitting on his bench that doesn't seem to feel pressure. Very calm, really alert. They moved the puck up the ice well in the very first exchange. Gord Roberts moved it out, and then Lemieux took it. Pocket looks like he's ready to play. This is a team that does not overreact. And I think at this stage, Mike Keenan has to be saying to himself, how many goals is enough? 4 certainly would have been enough, you would have thought, before Game 3, and the Blackhawks couldn't even get one. So there's no answer to that question, how many is enough against Pittsburgh, because they can play it any way you want to play it.
If you didn't see Game 1 of the series, keep in mind that Chicago had a 3-0 lead and also a 4-1 lead and lost the hockey game in regulation time 5-4. Game 2 was a 3-1 Pittsburgh victory. Game 3 here Saturday night, 1-0. The Penguins, and a bit of a fluke goal. And now Pittsburgh is chased back into its own zone, and Stanton got knocked down. The Blackhawks come out hitting. Markman held the puck at the line. Can't get it to anybody in a white uniform, and the Penguins have cleared the zone. Rod Busquets will shoot it right back in, but it hit Ulf Samuelsson. Recovered at center, and Busquets plays it around the boards. Barrasso just leave it this time, and his teammates end up clearing it off the boards and out through center ice. The Hawks had a chance to play it. Now Rob Brown must. Brown, who has come out with Larmer and Jocelyn Lemieux. Marchment bangs it off the boards. Pack recovers at center ice. He's given it to Shell Samuelsson. Up to Troy Loney, and he dumps it in. What will Belfour do? He likes to play it up the boards, and look at the way the Penguins get to it. They set up Jagr. Quick shot. He scores! Just like that, the Pittsburgh Penguins, a minute and 37 seconds into the first period, have a 1-0 lead.
And it came off a turnover from Eddie Belfour. The Penguins very patient on the play. Look at them over the board squeezing it off. There were 3 Penguins. That allowed Jaromir to be the guy that outnumbered the Blackhawks. Here they are. You see 2 Blackhawks, 2 Penguins, and then a 3rd Penguin. Jaromir Jagr. Eddie Belfour could have elected to leave that puck or put it into the other corner. Instead, he dumped it around, and the Penguins anticipated it perfectly.
Jagr's 11 of the spring of '92.
Pittsburgh goal scored by Jagr, assisted by Loney with 1:30.
Troy Loney gets the only assist on the goal, so it's 1-0 Pittsburgh. A minute and 37 seconds into the opening period. Just what the Blackhawks, and especially the fans, didn't want to have happen tonight. Larry Murphy has put the puck high up into the seats, so the clock is stopped. And the Pittsburgh Penguins are going to make a player change, sending out a new defensive combination. We'll be right back.
Just what Pittsburgh wanted, just what Chicago didn't want. Jaromir strikes again.
Signs of a natural goal scorer there. He picked up the puck in Chicago's end. He knew exactly where the net was. He knew exactly where Belfour was, and he just let a quick wrist shot go just off the post, and just a beautiful goal, because on top of that, he was being marked too, closely checked.
Well, by my reckoning, John, that's 13 Penguins now have scored points in this series, 7 Blackhawks. That really tells the tale of the series.
The 20-year-old scored his 2nd goal of this series, his 11th overall. And earlier this evening, out on the ice just before 6 o'clock in a pair of running shoes, no elbow pads, He'd been running all over the ice, just flipping the puck around, off the boards, just handling it.
That's not unusual for this kid. He loves to do that before the game just to get the feel of the ice. I imagine he would rather be on the ice than any place else in the world almost all day long.
Wouldn't management be concerned about being out there without any protective equipment at all in case you were to fall and split an elbow or whatever?
Not when you've got his balance. Oh, I'm not sure it's that big a concern.
A big goal for Jaromir Jagr, making it 1-0.
Well, he sure anticipated it well. He knew that his guys were going to end up having a pretty good chance to chip it back in deep. And when they chipped it back in, he was the next guy there to get it. You see number 2, Brian Marchment, having to move out? Well, Brian Marchment went behind the net, and Eddie Belfour could have left it for him. That's when a communication breakdown. I mean, Marchment has to call Eddie Belfour off there and say, leave it for me. But Eddie Belfour decided to shoot it, and he shot it right into trouble.
One goal was enough to win Game 3 of this series. Will it be enough tonight? Dean Smith controls the puck at the blue line for Chicago to the backhand, and he can't get that around Larry Murphy. Evan Stevens moves it out towards center. There's Rick Tocchet, checked by Graham, but up they come. Francis with a long shot. Off Belfour's blocking glove and on into the seats. Penguins have had 2 shots on Ed Belfour. The Blackhawks have yet to test Tom Barrasso. But it is early in the first period at Chicago.
A couple of lineup changes for Game 4. Scotty Bowman has Bob Airey back in the lineup. He missed Game 3 with the shoulder, but Airey is back, and that's good news for Scotty Bowman because he's an excellent utility player, can do a lot for the Penguins. So Dave Mikhailuk comes out. Mike Keenan has exchanged muscle for muscle. Mike Peluso is out for Game 4, and Stu Grimson is in.
Mike Keenan searching for ways to get a goal, to get his team back into the series. Mario Lemieux is at center ice. Evan Stevens on the left, Rick Tocchet on the right. They're out against Brent Sutter's unit for Chicago. There's Graham over on the right side. Now Brian Marchment, the defenseman, jumps up into the play as Sutter gets to the line and was checked by Mario Lemieux. Oscar covering the Chicago line. Played it through Dirk Graham, and Kevin Stevens moves it back for Pittsburgh. Roberts failed to clear it out. This was Busquets for the pass to Graham. The Sutter got bumped, got it in front, and it's cleared by Murphy. Busquets rolls it at the point. Busquets plays it off the boards. Graham trying to center. It did come right out in front, but it's controlled here by Lemieux. Takes a hit. The puck knocked out of the air with a stick over the shoulder level. Some scuffling. Andy Van Hellemond, tonight's referee, has called the play.
Boy, what an interesting play. The Blackhawks are really forcing. They had 4 guys in deep. They were able to get away with it on that one. But they can't be too anxious in this one.
Well, there's Mario coming up with some good defensive play. He needs to, because Chicago are coming out on all cylinders.
Yeah, they have 4 men in deep there. They're a little bit anxious, but I sense that if they do get this goal, or a goal early on, this place will explode and Chicago will be back in it.
And here's a guy that no doubt will be keeping a very, very close check on his temper tonight, I think, Chris Chelios.
Yeah, and they also be looking for him from a little bit offensive strength, too. He hasn't really done much.
He scored the first goal of this series.
With the puck being knocked out of the air, a stick over the shoulder level making contact with it, the officials have brought the face-off outside the blue line.
What a defensive play Lemieux made when Brent Sutter came down on him. But to me, he was the most underrated defensive player in Game 3.
You know, his hand was really bothering him in Game 3. He's told some of the people around the Penguins and his personal guru that he had trouble holding the stick, let alone shooting the puck. So he came out and skated this morning, which he hasn't done on day of game recently. Sutter with a shot here that's turned aside. Mario reported after the skate this morning that the hand felt a lot better. Chris Chelios gets checked at center ice, checked by Lemieux, the puck again into the seats. Early in the first period at Chicago Stadium, 1-0. Penguins leading on a goal by Jaromir Jagr.
Well, John Davidson talked in our open about getting some offense from the defense. Chris Chelios, Steve Smith, Brian Marchment has already been in front of the net, and so has Chris Chelios. But when you can't score goals against a team that is playing as well defensively as Mario Lemieux and his Penguins, that's one of the first things you go to. You have to end up with an overload on the rush. Bring a defenseman up. Obviously, you are leaving yourselves open to a counterattack, so you have to execute well when you get to the blue line. But Mario Lemieux knows that if Brian Marchment, Steve Smith, Chris Chelios, the Blackhawks defensemen move up on the play to join the rush, that could be a problem for the Penguins. They have to make sure they have enough people back before they worry about their counterattack.
Penguins won the draw at center ice. Ron Francis has tapped it on into the Chicago zone. And Belfort got it onto a teammate stick this time. They try to come up the left wing boards. Matteau is squeezed into the boards by Francis. And the puck goes loose. Backboard is Kuchera. Kuchera and Steve Smith on defense as Larmer, Matteau, and Noonan move through center now. The Hawks get to the line. Kuchera pokes the puck wide. Also leaves it for Samuelson. Samuelson up the middle to Francis.
That's the play the Penguins have to make against the Blackhawks because they take the boards away. So the Penguins obviously are taking a peek up the middle to see if they have somebody before they blast it up the boards.
Now they dump it in off the stick of Jim Pack and they complete a player change. Hawks trying to come up the left side. Kuchera puts it in the middle. Here's Roenick over the line. Jeremy Roenick, a man on a mission, but he gets checked. The puck comes to the line, and Roenick is taken to the boards and hauled down by Loney. Play continues. Pache in the center ice area, but the whistle is sounded. It will be for a two-line pass and offside, and no penalty call as Loney wrestled Roenick to the ice. Jeremy Roenick's hand is much better tonight, thank you. So he reported this morning. An update, as you know, only one team in the history of the Stanley Cup Finals come from a 3-0 deficit to win the series. Major League Baseball has never had it happen. It's never happened in pro basketball. Chicago would like to make it the second time round. The puck here skips off the glass and up into the seats. We have played 4 minutes and 16 seconds of this opening period.
Jeremy Roenick ripped a shot in the warm-up from just inside the blue line, and he got all of it. He is obviously able to play, and apparently he is not having his hand injected. He has taken a couple of painkillers, at least he did for Game 3. We can assume that he may have done that for Game 4 here tonight, but he can shoot. He's ready to play.
He's against Mario Lemieux on this face-off that's won by Chicago. Hawks set up back in their own zone. Chris Chelios. Right side, and it's cleared out of the zone by Busquets. Roberts drops back, takes it off the boards, off Bob Berry, recovered by Mario Lemieux, and he had a man right on him, and that man was Roenick. Bert Graham dumps it into the Pittsburgh zone. Lasso plays it to the boards. Roberts up ahead to Jagr. Oh, he's hit by Roenick, and Jagr is slow to get back to his skates. He's up now and moving as the puck ends up in the Chicago zone. 1-0 Pittsburgh. Busquets with a pass off the boards, up the head of Roenick, and this will be recovered by the Pittsburgh Penguins. Gordy Roberts parks back to the net. Ian Murphy on defense. Loney is out with Jagr and Brian Trottier. Now an icing call to be made against Pittsburgh after having dumped it the length of the ice.
I think Jaromir Jagr went down trying to draw a penalty. He was hit from behind by Jeremy Roenick, but he got up as soon as he realized that the play wasn't going to be called. But Andy Van Hellemond is a guy that lets players determine the outcome of a game most times, especially at this stage of the season. That means that players have to be careful whether or not they're going to dive. If they dive and it doesn't work, you've got to get back up and get into the play. Here was Roenick just cruising. You could look at the grimace on his face. He knew he was going to make contact about 8 feet from Jagr, and he drilled him from behind. But if you're the guy that goes down and nothing is called, man, you've got to get back into the play.
Long shot from the point here. Rattles around in front of Brasso, and he's able to cover it. He made the initial save, and the puck, one of the few times that it's gotten away from him, and any sort of rebound in this series came right back in front.
And a couple of guys that have been through the wars together, competing for this faceoff. Brent Sutter and Brian Trottier, 2 former Islanders for so many years, and Brent Sutter not only got that, did he deflect it on the way to the net? It looked like he got a piece of it. Steve Larmer digging. Look at Brian Marchment. He's number 2 for the Blackhawks. He's right up in front. And Mike Keenan is not only double shifting Jeremy Roenick, but he's moved Marchment up to the left side now. Brian Marchment is a left winger.
He was the man who just stepped in. Where's number 2 for Chicago? And here's the Penguins' number 19, Brian Trottier with a shot off the right pad of Belfort. Loney went for the rebound. In on the play as well as Herdina as he puts it back in the net. Igor Tkachuk up the boards for Marchment, off his stick to Stanton. A long shot tipped in front by Trottier. Recovered and cleared out by Brent Sutter. Here's Larmer, 2-on-2 as Marchment moves in now. High, hard drive came off the glass, and Marchment trying to kick it in deeper. Herdina reaching in, trying to pry it loose. Still no whistle, obviously. A lot of hard work to gain control of the puck. The Penguins do. Oh, Stanton with an outlet. The one off Loney's stick, and Kravchuk covers up at the blue line. Passes to Chelios. Loney turns, cuts to the left side, tapping his stick on the ice, wanting the pass, and by the time it got there, so was Paul Stanton.
So was Rick Tocchet. You see how quickly the Penguins read that Loney was winding up and wanting the puck, so they just headed him off.
And the tall centers. Here's Graham with a backhand. He scores!
Well, the Blackhawks have looked to their captain, and he has come through for them. This may be the only way to beat Tom Barrasso. Get your own rebound. Barrasso ate up the first one, but coughed up the rebound. Back to Graham for an easy tap-in.
Dirk Graham's 13th career Stanley Cup playoff goal, his 5th of 92, as you saw. He had another one earlier in the series, and it's tied 1-1, but Lemieux has set up Stevens. Stevens cuts to the backhand, he scores! Evan Stevens, who had the only goal in Game 3, has regained the lead for Pittsburgh.
Really, the more you watch the Pittsburgh Penguins, the more you realize that they are a team that's made of rubber bands. And we looked at Mike Keenan. He appeared to be calling to Dominic Hasek, and that's exactly what he's doing. He is making a goaltending change. Lemieux to Stevens, a one-handed shot right between Eddie Belfour's legs. Call that what you want. Mike Keenan calls it a bad goal. Dominic Hasek is coming in relief of Ed Belfour already. As far as I'm concerned, you've got to make the change. That was a stoppable puck. The Pittsburgh Penguins have regained the lead. You're down 3-0 in a series. Keep in mind, Eddie Belfour may be back in, but what choice does Mike Keenan have tonight in Chicago?
Not one different choice than what he just made. Belfour did not remove the mask. So the goal by Graham with assist to Matteau and Chelios is followed 12 seconds later by Kevin Stevens with an assist to Mario Lemieux, and it's 2-1 Pittsburgh. The Hawks have had 5 shots on goal, the Penguins 4. They still have 13 minutes and 27 seconds remaining in this period. You see the numbers on Dominic Hasek.
I can't help but think back to the Boston series when Kevin Stevens had been quiet for the first couple of games and then walked into Boston and scored 4. The Pittsburgh Penguins just seem to have an endless supply of weapons.
They really do. Up 3 games to none in this series, leading 2 goals to 1. There's Chelios centering the Hawks are right back.
Well, you gotta love this. There is no quit in the Chicago Blackhawks. Chris Chelios knew what he was doing as soon as he got the puck because he had already checked out where Dirk Graham was. And when Graham got to the side of the net, Chelios let him have it. Remember when Eddie Belfour coughed one up along the boards to the Penguins? Well, Tom Barrasso has repaid the favor. Back to Chelios, to Graham. 2-2.
Checking the book, 30 seconds between these 3 goals is a new Stanley Cup final playoff record. The old one was 31 seconds, set by the Philadelphia Flyers in the series with Edmonton in 1985. Well, more history made. The first Stanley Cup final game in June, and 3 in 30 seconds. Don't leave your seats, folks. Tied 2-2 at Chicago Stadium. Big hit by Ulf Samuelsson, knocking Noonan down in front. There'll be a penalty to Samuelsson. He turns away from Chelios after the whistle, but Ulf Samuelsson has drawn the first penalty of this game. The score is tied 2-2 in Chicago. We'll pause now for a regional break. Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Championship live on Sports Channel America.
Pittsburgh, number 5.
Chicago goes ahead of the power play. 3 goals in 30 seconds. Belfour off. I mean, it's all happened. John, you've got about 20 seconds to tell us what's going on.
Well, it all happened there, like you said. One thing that's just happened, obviously, is Samuelson's in the penalty box, I think, for the first time in this series. Obviously, he's shown a lot of discipline. Is that the last of the discipline as far as Pittsburgh's concerned? And does it open a little gap for Chicago to maybe capitalize on their power play?
This is certainly not what Scotty Bowman would want, all this lack of discipline. As we see Ulfie, this is what he's going to get called for. Some settling of scores, perhaps.
A little bit of a dive there. Unfortunate call, really. But I think Chicago has taken advantage of that. And I think there's been a couple other penalties called since stoppage of play. Again, Chelios, showing a lack of discipline there. It wasn't called, luckily. Took a swing at Samuelson. But as we were talking there, I think we saw another 2 guys going in the penalty box. I think one for Chicago and one for Pittsburgh.
A misconduct penalty as well as Samuelson's interference call. And Greg Gilbert is in the Chicago side of the penalty box. He too has drawn a 10-minute misconduct penalty. So it's a one-man advantage in favor of the Blackhawks. And as a result of the interference penalty on Alt Samuelson in Chicago. Tied 2-2 here. Up they come. Chelios, after taking the pass from Kravchuk, dumps it into the corner. Rebound to ruin it. Rounds the net. Can't find anybody open. Now Chelios wheels it across. Kravchuk at the right point. In around the boards. Noonan lets it go to Jaromir. Turns it back toward Larmer. Larmer nudged it away from Larry Murphy, but Samuelson is back, and he is checked immediately. Noonan takes him to the board. Larmer digs the puck loose. Can't get through all the Penguins, however, and Mario Lemieux works it to the left wing boards, and then up they come. Murphy is over the line. Larry Murphy can't get around Kravchuk, but he is knocked down by Kravchuk, and Melville thrown. Chelios got the elbow, and the penalty at least, and referee Andy Van Helleman. And Chelios to the box as Skip there comes out to attend to Larry Murphy.
Boy, did he ever catch him. And it looked like it might have been right below the helmet on his neck. Well, this is how Game 3 finished, with Chris Chelios standing over Larry Murphy when Larry was down. And as Murphy was being pushed back out of the play by Kravchuk, Chris Chelios got him from behind with the elbow. Murphy's up, appears to be all right, but he took a pretty good lick in the back of the head. So Chris Chelios has negated another man advantage for the Chicago Blackhawks. He did that at the tail end of Game 3 when Belfour was pulled by taking a 5. And now he negates the power play, which had 1 minute and 11 seconds to go in it. And after the teams play at 4 skaters aside, Pittsburgh will have a 49-second power play.
On that second Chicago goal, Kirk Graham getting his second of this game. The only assist was credited to Chris Chelios. Chelios was instrumental as well in the goal that Graham had scored. Chelios for elbowing at 8:17 is the penalty. Face-off will be in the Chicago zone. Kirk Graham talking with referee Andy Van Helleman. Sutter and Graham. Rick Smith and Kravchuk. For Pittsburgh, it's going to be Phil Bourque, Bob Airey, Gordy Roberts, and Larry Murphy. Chicago winning the draw. Sutter has set up Steve Smith, who parks back to the net. Kravchuk turns, goes up the right wing board. Smith carries the puck toward the blue line, then had to turn away from Phil Bourque. They'll shoot it in from center ice. Barrasso lets it go around to the right side through Graham, back to Kravchuk. The Blackhawk defenseman ripped one wide. Now Smith parks at the left point, starts in with it. The sliding Phil Bourque went down, but couldn't trap the puck. Smith gives it to Graham. Into the corner for Sutter, brings it back to the line. Set up Kravchuk for a shot that's wide. Barrasso plays it to the right wing boards, and Murphy tipped it to the line where Sutter held it in. Here's Steve Smith. Graham is open in front. The pass across is picked off by Murphy, and out come the Penguins. 30 seconds left in the Pittsburgh power, or penalty, I should say. And then Chicago will be a man short. Steve Smith dumps the puck in. Steve Larmer goes to the corner for Chicago. Larmer looks to Noonan, and a nice play. Breaking it up was the rookie McEachran. Larmer sets up Smith again. Smith over center. Off one in toward Barrasso and scoops it up and holds on for a face-off. Still 10.5 minutes remaining in this opening period. The score is 2-2.
Well, never mind the difference in tempo. The difference for the Blackhawks in this game so far seems to be they're picking up all the bits and pieces.
Yeah, they're picking up all the loose pucks there. And I must say I was a bit disappointed in Chelios. At the beginning of the series, I was really impressed, but he seems to carry on this infraction there that he had with Murphy. A blatant elbow, again, against the grain of play. But there you see Belfour sitting on the bench. Is he going to get back into the game, or is he going to stick with Hasek?
Boy, Eddie Belfour staying pretty close to his equipment. He hasn't taken his mask off. He still has his catching glove on. But he can sure take a cue, though.
Boy, was he focused this morning. I thought he was so sharp in the morning workout. And it was a long and hard workout that the Blackhawks went through. A lot of skating, a lot of shooting drills. And Belfour, I thought, was really sharp. But at game time, that second one by Stevens drove him from the net. The Blackhawks came right back, and now Jagr lays the puck to the corner for Mario Lemieux, to the blue line for Francis, across to Ulf Samuelsson. Pittsburgh. Not a power play here. They have lost control of the puck, and Brian Noonan shoots it down the ice. 23 seconds remaining in the elbowing penalty to Chris Chelios. Kirk Graham has scored twice for Chicago. Jaromir Jagr and Kevin Stevens have the goals for the Penguins. Pittsburgh out of the zone. Jagr is giving the puck to Stevens. To Lemieux is at the line waiting. Mario Lemieux sets up Larry Murphy. Lets it go. Blocked by Hasek. The rebound is banged in. Lemieux. Once more, the crowd is silenced. Mario Lemieux has scored for Pittsburgh.
Chris Chelios came out of the box. 4 seconds is all that was left in his penalty. Skated right to Andy Van Hellemond to give him a piece of his mind. But the goal is already up on the board. Stevens to Lemieux, and watch Lemieux wait for somebody to come. Finally, Larry Murphy is across the blue line. And even with Frank Kuchera going down, number 6 of the Blackhawks in front of him, Larry Murphy was able to get it through. And look at the outnumbered situation the Penguins had in front when Kuchera drifted out to block the shot. That left 3 Penguins and only Steve Smith for the Blackhawks back in deep.
Lemieux with a 16. 10 minutes, 13 seconds into this opening period. Pittsburgh leads 3-2. Dominic Hasek leaves the puck behind the net, and Kravchuk plays it up off the boards. Larry Murphy traps it for Pittsburgh, goes cross ice. Chelios reached up to knock it down and now has it on the stick with a pass here to Brent Sutter. Kirk Graham, 3 Penguins back. Graham is bumped solidly by Ulf Samuelsson, and the puck ends up in the center ice area. Ryan Trottier trying to get it to Tocchet. It goes back to Loney, but the play is offside at the Chicago blue line. So it's been Jagr, Stevens, and Lemieux for Pittsburgh.
So 5 goals and an assist now for the King Penguin himself, Mario Lemieux. That was a timely one.
I think Pittsburgh would be happy to have a shootout here. Obviously, there's been 5 goals scored. We only had 1 goal last game. Pittsburgh do have the better offensive team. So they'll be happy to let the game sort of be wide open, because like I say, they'll have more scoring chances.
But Chicago have to have it wide open. They've got to win this one. They've got to get goals.
Yeah, and it would pick up the team, or the crowd here.
Well, Mario Lemieux has the puck at the blue line, and as he crosses, he waits for Larry Murphy. Once he drops it to Murphy, show you the problem for the Blackhawks. If we stop right here, you can see that the Blackhawks have 3 men out here. They only ever had 1 guy back. That wasn't enough. The Penguins were able to overload, and there you can see 3 Penguins and only 1 Blackhawk, Steve Smith. Naturally, you would anticipate this type of reaction from the Pittsburgh Penguins bench. They get used to Mario's goals, but they get bigger as the season wears on, and we are into June.
That was the 8th power play goal in the playoffs for Mario Lemieux. He has 2 shorthanded goals as well. Only 6 of his 16 goals now have been scored at equal strength. He gets the big one. Del Samuelsson around to Troy Loney. Loney banked it off the skates of Jagr, and at center ice, Busquets just turns it right back into the Pittsburgh zone. Shell Samuelsson back to touch up, and that's an icing against Chicago. just joined us. Pittsburgh opened the scoring. Chicago tied it. Pittsburgh went ahead. The Blackhawks tied it up at 2. And now Mario Lemieux's shorthanded goal has put Mike Keenan's team down 3-2. Still a lot of time left in this hockey game.
And if this first period is any indication, Mike Keenan is going to try and allow his best players to win this for him. Jeremy Roenick is double shifting. Chris Chelios, when he hasn't been in the penalty box, he's been on the ice just about all the time. He's out there now. Steve Larmer, a lot of ice time. Steve Smith, he's going with the horses.
A lot of ice time for Mike Keenan. That's what he just popped into his mouth. An ice cube. Trick picked up from the bastard, Scotty Bowman. Penguins have Lemieux out on the ice with Kevin Stevens and Rick Tocchet, but up come the Blackhawks. Marchman with a shot that went wide. Barrasso handles it, and he elects to cover as the Hawks came rushing in.
You know, Jigs, I think the most underrated aspect of Tom Barrasso's play in this series and in the last series is really his reads of the play and what I call the win-2 factor. He doesn't necessarily always go out to try and cut off the puck when it's really ripped around the boards. His anticipation and his reads are perfect. When it's too hard, he doesn't waste any energy. He allows it to go all the way around behind him to the far board. So it's not as if he just blindly attempts to get everything that's near him. He picks and he chooses and he reads the play and he knows whether or not he can get to it. And I think that's something that we haven't talked a lot about. When he's handled it well. But he hasn't always tried to handle it.
That's the key, I think. So often you talk about the great goaltenders in the NHL right now. Patrick Roy's name comes to mind. Andy Bowles, Grant Fuhr, so many others. Very seldom do you hear Tom Barrasso's name in the same category. Here Chicago has won the draw. Marchman puts it back to the net. Brent Sutter went for it, but tied up with both Samuelson and the Penguins moving up the board. Rick Tocchet ran into Kravchuk, but up they come. Across the line is Francis. Outside pass didn't get through as Chelios had the play read. Lemieux was there with him. Now Kravchuk the other way with a drive, just wide of the net. Marmer can't recover at the blue line. The puck is being, or the play I should say, is being called, and the puck is brought back out of the Pittsburgh zone for the ensuing faceoff. 8 minutes and 12 seconds remaining in this opening period. So much focus on Chris Chelios following Game 3 of this series. Attack on Larry Murphy, which he maintained was provoked by a cross-check thrown first by Murphy.
He made a brilliant defensive play here, staying exactly in between the passer and Mario Lemieux so he could cut it as his defense partner Steve Smith takes a breather on the bench. Steve Smith will see a lot of ice time here as well. All Chris Chelios has to do is make sure that he doesn't hurt the Blackhawks' cause. He's a brilliant player. He's good enough to help offensively, defensively. He just has to be smart enough not to hurt them.
Here's Stevens with a shot. Hasek the save, and the rebound is cleared around behind that Chicago net. The Blackhawks move it out with a pass to Dirk Graham. Graham leads the left side. Kravchuk goes in after it. Jocelyn Lemieux tried to get the puck back to him, and Murphy was right on Kravchuk. Roberts, the other Pittsburgh defenseman, recovers, takes a look, and gives it to Mario Lemieux. Lemieux bounces one on into the Chicago zone. They ruled that it hit Tocchet, and that'll be called back on an offside pass. Pittsburgh going to make some player changes as the Lemieux line goes back. Jagr comes out on the ice with Francis and Phil Bourque.
But we talked about the Chicago Blackhawks getting their defensemen to join the rush. And if you look at this last rush, with Dirk Graham bringing the puck up the ice, he was able to bring it up the center. And then what did he have? He had a winger, and he also had his defenseman, Igor Kravchuk, getting up on the play, and he was able to feed it over to Kravchuk. I mean, that's what we talked about. On the far side, we'll stop right here and join it. Chelios was actually joining the rush on that side. So you got both defensemen joining the rush. That's what the Blackhawks have to continue to do to get the offense on track.
Now out at center ice, Vasquez bounces one in off the glass that jumped around in front of the net. Newman went to the man, and the puck came loose. Stefan Matteau trying to tie it up. There's a delayed penalty call coming against Pittsburgh. As the Penguins handle it now, they're going to be shorthanded. Referee Andy Van Helleman handing out a penalty, and Chicago goes to the power play.
Well, we talked at the top of the show about Pittsburgh's iron discipline. Not much evidence of it there from Gordy Roberts.
No, discipline's going out the window a little bit in this game. A retaliation penalty, no need for it. He took a hit against the boards, but I think, you know, he just took a cheap shot at a Chicago player, and he's sitting in the box.
Well, as you say, totally unnecessary. Pittsburgh leading 3-2, but John, I get the feeling there's a lot more goals to come.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a wide open game, and especially at this venue, it's pretty exciting.
Gord Roberts is off for roughing, so the Chicago power play will get another crack at it. They went 0 for 5 in Game 3. They've only scored 1 power play goal so far in this series.
And total of 15 opportunities. Well, a dozen coming into tonight's game. Make it 14, including the penalty to Walt Samuelson earlier. And only 1 power play goal to show for it. Jaromir is in the middle. Steve Larmer on the left. Brian Noonan on the right for the Blackhawks. Kravchuk and Chelios on the flanks. The Hawks win the draw. Larmer feeds it back to Chelios. Into the corner. Noonan turns, comes off the boards, feeds Chelios. Right back to Noonan at the top of the circle. Fake, centers it across. There's the drive, and it hit the post. Kravchuk trying to put it in front again. Roenick battles for it. Dug it loose, and Chelios will recover. Pass now to Kravchuk. Into the corner to Noonan. Noonan backs up toward the line, then feeds it wide of the net. Larmer and Roenick back to the goal line. Larmer sets up Chelios with Kravchuk. And it goes to Noonan. Bounced off his skates and cleared to the line and outside the line. The Hawks will set up again at center.
Boy, the Hawks have to find a way to get it in front. Larmer and Roenick are really paying the price in front, but they're waiting for it to come. It just hasn't gotten there.
Larmer partially checked by Larry Murphy, who recovers the puck and slams it out of the zone. Here's Kravchuk. Pittsburgh in the middle of a player change. Lemieux has come out to help kill the penalty now. Kirk Graham has dumped it in for Chicago, and Marchment races in after it. Puck comes to the left wing board. Jeremy Roenick back to Chelios. Chelios pulled it away from Lemieux, gave it to Graham, into Roenick, had to reach behind and couldn't regain control. Graham back to Chelios. Fifth rhythm. Chelios with a shot that's deflected up into the seats. 24 seconds all that's left in the Chicago power play.
Boy, Chris Chelios thought he had lots of room to let that shot go, but you can never underestimate the reach of Mario Lemieux. He'll give it to you and take it away as well as anybody. And on this sequence, it was Brian Marchment who was put out there to be in front, a guy that's quite a bit bigger and quite a bit stronger than Jeremy Roenick. But there's Roenick at the side of the net, and the reason he's on his knees like that is he is tired. Man, did he work hard on that shift and took a ton of abuse in front. And keep in mind, that's usually a spot for a Tim Kerr at 230 pounds or a Kevin Stevens at 218 pounds. Jeremy Roenick is about 172 pounds right now. That's not a lot to be a power forward standing in front taking that beating.
Well, by comparison to the Pittsburgh forward, Chicago is small. Puck dumped in here by the Blackhawks, and Barrasso dumps it out. This is something the Hawks talked about, especially after Game 3. Every time they dumped it in, Barrasso moved it out. 25 seconds of the Blackhawks power play. Kravchuk rushing with the puck. Gage Noonan on the left wing boards. Into Brian Marchment. Marchment from a sharp angle, shot it wide, and Kravchuk recovers at the right point. Dumps it in around the boards. Pack volleyball it out of the air. It's held by Kravchuk for the shot that's blocked. The rebound was there, and Brent Sutter couldn't get it teed up. And again, the Hawks are forced down the ice. That will do it on the penalty. Roberts ready to step back out on the ice, and the Hawks come to center ice. Stefan Matteau is met by Roberts. Vasquez chases it back into his own zone, turns it up the boards for Matteau. Lemieux failed to pick up the pass for Chicago. Steve Smith backs into the zone. He's given it to Stefan Matteau. Trache picks up that check. And the Penguins pick up the puck out in center ice. Vasquez and Trache tie up one another. That allows the Blackhawks to recover and dump it in. Shell Samuelson turning on the forecheck of Grimson. And the Penguins just shoot it down the ice. Steve Smith will go back. And we have an icing call against the Pittsburgh Penguins. 4 minutes and 40 seconds remaining in this first period. Pittsburgh leads 3-2.
I get the impression, John, Chicago living a little bit dangerously. Obviously, they've got to score some goals, but you get the feeling that Pittsburgh are ready to counterattack, and this guy just doesn't want to be beaten again, does he?
That's right, Nick. It looks like they can leave themselves exposed in the back. They might be getting a little bit anxious to try to tie this game up. It's still got plenty of time left in this game.
Scotty Bowman there will be looking to shut the stable door on the Chicago Blackhawks as Pittsburgh protect a slim 3-2 lead from Mike Keenan's Blackhawks.
Look at the Chicago bench. The whole gang is here tonight for Sports Channel America. Let's check in with our John Davidson.
As you can see, I'm sitting in the referee's locker room. They're, of course, on the ice working the game. And I've got an old buddy here, the Stanley Cup. It's been batted around quite a bit over the years. Names from the inside of the top all the way down. And what's a problem this year is there's no more room for names. So whoever wins this particular series, what will be done to get their names on the Stanley Cup is this ring right here on the top portion of the wide part of the cup. It will be removed. And then a new ring will be put in for the next number of years for those players and coaches. What is kind of sad about it, though, is right here, 1940, the last time the New York Rangers won a Stanley Cup, and all those names, great hockey names, will be removed and put into the Hall of Fame. And as an old New York Ranger, I think that's kind of sad. Jakes, back to you.
That is sad news, J.D.
You got any Kleenex, Jakes?
Oh, man.
I'm crying here.
Well, just can we get a protest? Can we sign a form? Larmer from the draw shoots one, didn't get it on target, and Francis lugs it out for Pittsburgh.
Jagr was that emotional. Gosh.
Jagr looks to Trottier. Jagr driving on Kravchuk. Look at the strength of this 20-year-old. Fights off how many Blackhawks? But then ended up putting the puck back inside his own blue line. A long pass up ahead. Here's Trottier to the backhand. Tapped it on target, and Hasek makes the save and covers the puck. Jaromir Jagr putting on a clinic again. He scored the opening goal tonight. Kid who will be a free agent at the end of next season.
Well, he's got such tremendous leg strength. You need upper body strength as well, but when you get into a situation with a guy leaning on you, how you position your skates and how you're able to hold him off with your legs. And as Jagr went wide, Kravchuk tried to take him. Then Kravchuk ended up getting help from Brent Sutter. They were both leaning on him for a minute. You could see that Kravchuk didn't have him at all.
John Davidson talked about Mario Lemieux's folks being here. Jaromir Jagr's mom and dad are back in Pittsburgh. We asked him about bringing them here for the game, and he said, oh, no. He said, they do not speak English. I would have to worry about them. I'm here worrying about game.
And you know what? That's a legitimate point. I mean, a lot of the players have traveled with their wives and their families, and it's up to their family members, whether it be wives, moms, and dads, to realize that they don't need any distractions at all. And I'm sure Jagr's parents were the first ones to understand. But that's a concern for players this time of year. You need to focus so intensely, you can't afford any distractions. And I'm sure he would worry about his mom and dad.
Oh, yeah. Noonan and Kevin Stevens battling for a puck that pops loose behind the net. Came right out in front, and the Hawks didn't jam it in as Graham had a chance for his third of the period. Now they set up Graham, and he scores! If you will. Oh my, look at this.
This is incredible. And the reason there are so many here is that they were a souvenir that was given out tonight. But I've never seen anything like this. There must be 250 of them if you look at all areas of the ice.
And still they rain down. A hat sale at Chicago Stadium.
Well, now they can recycle them and use them for another giveaway for Game 6.
It doesn't say Blackhawks on these hats. Let's take another look at the goal and the setup that's completed by Graham.
It was a tremendous play, and Dirk Graham has obviously been a problem for the Penguins, but one thing that happened in the corner when Brent Sutter had the puck, Kevin Stevens went to him and he peeled away from him. When you're the first guy there, everybody reads you going to the coverage. When you peel off, somebody else has to scramble, and that means a guy like Dirk Graham can get in behind you, and he did that behind Larry Murphy. Well, I'll tell you what, Dirk Graham is a proud captain, and he deserves to be extra proud right now. That's a close-up look at the hat that was given away. And the attitude is a little different in this building tonight compared to 2 nights ago.
That is a great buzzword for a giveaway in a game that a team has to win to stay alive. It's 3-3 in Chicago Stadium. 3 minutes and 42 seconds left in the first period.
Quite a hat-trick then from Chicago's team captain Dirk Graham. 3 times the right place at the right time. This was an easy one.
Yeah, he's parked himself right in front of the goal. unmarked. I think they forgot about him, and there's no need really, because this is the third goal he's got. I think the second of the night that he's just parked himself right in the goal crease. Luckily that he wasn't actually in the goal crease there, but looks like he could have a hat or two after tonight.
Well, you like Dirk Graham's style. He's got 3 goals for his team tonight.
It's not the real McCoy that you're looking at, but a pretty good mock-up. Still the Hats are on the ice at Chicago Stadium. The giveaway.
We want to show you how Dirk Graham got away from his check in the neutral zone to try and chase down the Penguin that was moving back into the zone to get the puck. Now, the Penguins had full control on this play. Graham is at the bottom of your screen. Matteau, or at least Lemieux, is charging in there. The Penguins dumped the puck around to the other side, only to have it gobbled up by the Blackhawks. So the Blackhawks were able to keep the play alive. And the Penguins actually had a couple of chances to get this out of the zone. Finally, the play went back into the corner, and if we stop right here, I'll show you that Kevin Stevens is the guy I was talking about. He was going into the corner. He decided to peel off and come back here. And you can see the disadvantage he put all of his teammates at, because the next guy that had to get in there was Mario Lemieux. Meanwhile, Graham is waiting here. He comes out, parts at the side of the net, and waits for the pass to come through. And it came through perfectly. I don't think Larry Murphy saw him coming. But Kevin Stevens had a chance to go to his man, and he peeled away from him, and that was the defensive problem for the Penguins.
They set a record for the period. Jagr opened the scoring at 1 minute and 37 seconds in, and then the goals came in a hurry. Dirk Graham for Chicago to tie it. 12 seconds later, Kevin Stevens scored for Pittsburgh, and they led 2-1. Dirk Graham scored at 6:51, and we had 3 in 30 seconds in a new record. Then Mario Lemieux's power play goal regained the lead for Pittsburgh, and Dirk Graham has just tied it up at 16-18 on this first period of play. Now the teams are lined up at center ice. Pittsburgh has outshot Chicago 9-7. The goals, by the way, on Graham's third, the assist, I should say, went to Noonan and Jocelyn Lemieux. Pittsburgh controlling the draw. Mario Lemieux with a pass that was tipped by Marchment as Tocchet went for it, and Tocchet and Marchment collide. And the Penguins right on it. Kevin Stevens put it in front. But Graham reaches back, trying to knock it away from Mario Lemieux. And around to Chelios. He's picked up by Kevin Stevens, but Noonan recovers the puck. Flips it high in the air, out through center, and Larry Murphy drops back quickly. Dirk Graham in to forecheck him. Penguins able to move it to the line, and now Tocchet works it out through center ice, and Krawchuk comes back for Chicago. Gave it to Brent Sutter, to Brian Marchment. Marchment driving on Larry Murphy, gets checked at center. Here's Mario Lemieux, can't get around Chelios, but he did flip the puck up ahead. A break for Stevens. Comes in on Krawchuk and shot it wide. Wow. Now Chelios sends Brent Sutter on into the Pittsburgh zone. He's rubbed up by all Samuelson's check. Samuelson smartly, long pass to Mario Lemieux. There's Tocchet. The pass is there, and Tocchet chipped it wide. 2 minutes and 40 seconds remaining in the period. Murphy at the right point. Centers it across, and that's tipped by Chelios. Recovered by Mario Lemieux. Rick Tocchet. Sutter thumped him on the boards. Down goes Tocchet. The stick came up into Sutter's face, and the play continues. Larmer with a pass to Krawchuk. Krawchuk a long shot. Bounces right out in front of Tom Barrasso, but there to pick it off is Pack. Trying to catch the Hawks in a player change. This is Sean McEachran across the line. Shoots one and a skate save by Hasek. Well, Bork took the man, but the Hawks take the puck. Roenick leads them through center. It's wide open. The pedal to the metal now. Roenick, back it goes. Checked on the play is Goulet, and up come the Penguins. On Francis and McEachran over the line. 3 Hawks get back. Francis with a shot that turns into a glove save. Hasek dropped the box. Noonan around the board.
I got to tell you, this is not Chicago's style, though. Sooner or later, if they play a running gun, they're going to get burned.
Right now, they regain control of the puck and start out. Here's Jeremy Roenick across the line. Drops it to Goulet for a shot that was blocked. Well, Samuelson got the stick on it. Hawks failed to get it to the line, and Jagr has it for Pittsburgh. The pass to Bork. Bill Bork shoots off left wing, and Chelios got a chunk of that. Jeremy Roenick recovers in his own zone.
Man, what a stick exchange between Ulf Samuelsson and Michel Goulet. Goulet ended up finishing it off by simply lowering the lumber right on Samuelsson's head.
Now Loney with a drive. It's turned aside by Hasek. Dirk Graham hangs it out of the zone. Marchment failed to touch it at center. Icing waved off. They ruled the Penguins could have gotten there. Murphy has it in his skates. Murphy passes it up to Trottier. Now to Jagr. Through center ice, three Hawks stretched down at the line. Jagr gave it to Loney, into Jagr. Jagr turns on to Chera, makes the pass to Murphy, across to Trache. Ryan Trache's shot went through, but wide. Impact started in, couldn't get there, and Dirk Graham sends Lemieux up ice. Jocelyn Lemieux, a backhander, blocked by Barrasso, and Trache cleared the rebound. That ends up in the seat. 38 seconds left in a wild flurry in the late stages of this first period.
Why, this is what these people have waited to see. What an exciting brand of playoff hockey. You can say what you want about strong defensive presences on the ice, and there's something to be said for that, but this is where the entertainment is, right here. See, Brent Sutter's got a real smashed-up mouth, and he is arguing to Andy Van Hellemond that a penalty should have been called on Rick Tocchet. They had been piled up in a heap to the right of Dominic Hasek, and Brent Sutter took a real good lick with Rick Tocchet's stick right in the mouth. We'll pick it up behind Dominic Hasek, and you can see that Sutter tugged Rick Tocchet down. I think Tocchet decided to go for a little bit of a dive, and when he was going down, I still didn't see it. I was watching the pull.
Have been drawn. 38.2 seconds remaining in this opening period. You see the gash on Brent Sutter.
Gosh, a reverse angle look at a beautiful pass from Dirk Graham to Jocelyn Lemieux. He is in almost by himself, but he couldn't bring it to the forehand to shoot because Brian Trache was cutting him off. So Brian Trache's presence kept Lemieux in the backhand. He just tried to chip it at Tom Barrasso, hoping to get it through, possibly hoping for a rebound. But Brian Trache was able to get to the rebound first.
Sutter wins the draw, getting the puck to Dirk Graham, and immediately Bob Airy turned him around. Stanton ties up Graham over on the far boards. Puck still in play, still moving. Francis and Sutter, some battle. Now Chelios and Old Samuelson are together. And the whistle has sounded. 22.2 seconds. Deuces while on the scoreboard. 2-2-2, the time remaining in the period. 12 shots for Pittsburgh, 8 for the Blackhawks, and the game tied 3-3. Glad you're able to join us this Monday night here on Sports Channel America. Paul Samuelson has thrown his weight around in the period. A year ago, when Pittsburgh won the Stanley Cup with that 8-0 shelling of the Minnesota North Stars in Game 6, it was Olt who scored the opening goal and thus the Stanley Cup winner. Pittsburgh wins tonight. Who will it be? Chicago extends the series. Who will it be for the Blackhawks? Ron Francis trying to move the puck out of the zone. Couldn't get it by Dirk Graham. Graham and Brent Sutter battle on the board. So does Chelios. The three Penguins are Stanton, Francis, and Lemieux. Now they break up. Francis from back of the net. There's the zone, and that will be the end of the opening period. 3-3 is the score. Let's check in with John Davidson.
Jigs, by far the most emotional, by far the quickest paced period of the series to this point. 3 times Pittsburgh took the lead, 3 times Chicago came back to tie. Dirk Graham twice able to sneak from behind the net to score. I think it's been a riot. It's been a lot of fun. Back to you.
And the fun will continue from Chicago Stadium. Our intermission is just around the corner. 3-3 is the score. Don't you dare leave us now.
I think anyone who thinks about leaving this game now has got to be out of their minds. 3-3, absolutely beautifully poised. Be a brave man to pick a winner in this one. What a shootout. We'll be back to review the first period in just a minute. You're watching the Stanley Cup live on Screen Sports. Welcome back. First intermission, that's the score, and as they say in soccer, pick them out of the net. I think that was the story of the first period, wasn't it?
Exciting stuff, I'll tell you. It's great for the fans, great for this stadium here, but I'll tell you, the coaches will be pulling their hair out. It's exactly what they don't want to see. The discipline's gone right out the window, but entertaining, all the least.
Great stuff. Let's have a look at the action. Jaromir Jagr got it going after 1:37. You can't keep this fella down.
Beautiful shot there, just inside the post. And he's got his head down all the time. He knows he's closely checked, but gets it away, just fires away that snapshot. Very effective.
1-0 Pittsburgh. But here comes the Dirk Graham Roadshow. Just in just a minute as we see another angle on Jaromir Jagr.
Earlier on, Barrasso comes up with a save and smothers it up, and it was looking like Chicago couldn't get anywhere close to scoring because Barrasso was coming up big with the saves and the defense just shutting down everything in the slot.
But now here comes the Dirk Graham traveling circus, getting his own rebound.
Excellent goal. You see, this guy, he's sort of an opportunist, and he gets a lot of the big goals to get his team back. So hopefully, that'll lift the team, and you'll see a little bit more from
12
Chicago.
seconds later, Kevin Stevens straight through the legs of Ed Belfour. That was it for Belfour.
Yeah, right between the legs. I'll tell you, it was time for him to hit the bench. Graham again parks himself right in front of the net, one-times it, ties it up, 2-2.
3 goals in 30 seconds. Unbelievable stuff.
Chalulose sees him here. He gets the puck and he just one-times it. Graham throws in the open net.
Now then, Pittsburgh on the power play. Mario Lemieux gets the puck here, plays it across and finds himself in the right place to pick up Larry Murphy's rebound.
Yeah, unfortunately, Hasek's one of the first shots on goal. He goes down, couldn't smother the rebound, and who better to put it away than Lemieux? He won't miss from that angle.
3-2 after just 10 minutes and 13 seconds. We weren't finished from Dirk Graham, though. From close range, couldn't miss.
No.
Graham's hat-trick.
Super goal because, again, he kind of snuck in there, unmarked, almost in the crease, but got it away one time. Nobody could stop that.
So, 3 goals apiece. It really has been a sensational shootout. And, John, I think we can say with some degree of certainty that there will be more goals to come in this game.
Definitely. I'm looking forward to it. It's a wide-open game, like I say. Great for the fans, but the coaches, they got to tighten it up a bit.
There's confirmation of the scoring. Jagr, Stevens and Lemieux for Pittsburgh. Dirk Graham with the hat-trick for the Chicago Blackhawks. Got to feel sorry for the goalies. They were getting shots peppered into them from all angles right through that first period. Pittsburgh had 12 on target. Chicago had 8. And the goalkeeping switch made early by Mike Keenan. Was it the right switch?
I think so. Belfour, he let a couple weak goals in, and I think it was time for a change.
So the change is made. Dominik Hasek is now between the posts for the Blackhawks. 3-3 at the end of the first period. We're going to take another break. We'll be back with a look at Jaromir Jagr in just a couple of minutes. You're watching the Stanley Cup on Screen Sport. We're still trying to catch our breath here at the Chicago Stadium. 6 goals in that first period. It really was a thriller, but we're going to take just a minute or two now to sit back and go for a spin in the company of a man who spends a lot of time in the driving seat, Jaromir Jagr.
You gotta like it. He takes the time to stop and talk to people.
That's good. That's a real sport.
That's what a real pro is all about, huh?
Pro is all about.
You bet. Well, 15 minutes later, we're still trying to make it to the car. I know we'll get there.
Where do you want to go?
Anywhere. Just show me some in Pittsburgh. I heard that your mom's coming to live with you next year.
Yeah, I want to. I will have a house in Pittsburgh. I need somebody who will cook for me. Who will take care of me.
You can't find any volunteers to cook for you?
I don't need it. I need a mom. 2 more years, and I will be free agent.
You say that with a smile. I guess you figured out what that free agent stuff means, huh?
It's great. Free agent is great.
Where are we here?
I don't know. In Pittsburgh.
Well, we're lost?
Pittsburgh National. I don't know. We just don't know.
How fast will this thing go?
How fast? The car?
Yeah.
120. If I want.
Have you tried it?
Yeah, I tried a couple of times. But don't tell anybody.
Oh, hey, I won't tell a soul. Don't worry. Your secret's safe with me.
I know.
Well, tell us, John, what is the guy's secret?
I'm not too sure. I don't think a lot of the opponents know, but I definitely know the guy's got youth on his side. He's got all the skills, the size, and I think he could be the player for the 90s.
Just as Wayne Gretzky's dominated the last decade or more, you think Jagr could be set perhaps to assume that kind of mantle?
Definitely. From what I've seen, the guy's only 20 and he's shown so much skill and experience and talent that I can only think he's going to get better. So it's going to be even more difficult to stop him, you know, as he matures.
Now back to tonight's game, and I would imagine what's happening in the locker rooms is this. Mike Keenan is probably reasonably satisfied. He wants it as a couple of heavyweights just slugging away at each other. Scotty Bowman, the big disciplinarian, is probably not too impressed with what he's seen so far.
The coaches are probably trying to get their players back into the discipline sort of frame of mind, saying, okay guys, we opened it up a little bit, we exposed ourselves, both teams did that. So they're trying to say, listen, we can win this game how we've been playing you know, the previous games. But like you say, I still think Pittsburgh have the more offensive strength, so they really won't mind playing this style, because they say if there's 8 chances, we'll put away 6 of them, whereas Chicago might only put away 4 or 5.
But I think what we've seen so far bears out my guess at the start of the show that Chicago would decide they're not going to go down lamely. They're going to go down with all guns blazing, and certainly all guns have been blazing in the first 20 minutes.
Definitely, and Graham's, you know, obviously picked up the pieces there for Chicago, and I'm still looking for Larmer. You know, we haven't seen anything of him offensively. He's supposed to be one of the best defensive forwards in the game, but really the Chicago haven't got anything from their big guns, and hopefully Graham scoring his hat-trick will sort of raise the other players' game.
Well, I have Steve Larmer on the series with 1 assist. I have Jeremy Roenick with absolutely nothing.
One thing that might be a factor in that is they mentioned earlier on that Roenick's only 172 pounds. Now, they've played 80 games. They've played maybe another 15, 20 games in the playoffs. It might take its toll on these smaller guys, and that's one reason why Pittsburgh have done so well in the playoffs. They got big, strong players, both offensively and defensively.
But against that, I would say to you, John, but if you can't get motivated for the Stanley Cup finals, when are you going to get motivated?
Yeah, but you got to look at the opposition's motivated too. So Samuelson's motivated, so when there's a 50-50 puck in the corner and you got Roenick and Samuelson both pretty high in skill level, usually it's going to be that big guy that's just going to, you know, outmuscle you for that puck.
Do you think we'll see more fireworks second period, or do you think both teams will just try and calm it down a little bit?
I think they'll try to calm it down a bit. We've seen a lot of wide open hockey there. You know, 6 goals is probably more in one period, more than they've scored in all the games. So I think the coaches will probably want to see, hey, let's settle down a bit. Let's go back to the basics, the discipline, finishing our checks off, thinking defense first. And but I'm certain that the goals aren't over as far as this game's concerned.
I'd agree with you there. I'm pleased also for these Blackhawks fans that they're getting a game that they can really get their teeth into, because Game 3, that 1-0 game for Pittsburgh, was a bit of a stinker, wasn't it?
Yeah, it would be a bit disappointing and frustrating from Chicago's point of view. They've come back from Pittsburgh 2-0 down. They're thinking that this is going to be the turnaround. We'll get back into this series, and they don't even score a goal. So now they've had something to cheer about. They've thrown all those hats out in the ice, and the atmosphere's there.
John, you've been around hockey at various levels for a number of years. I'll spare you blushes. Have you ever seen anything like that hat business?
Not at all. No, I've seen the odd hat thrown out for a hat trick, but you know, there must have been 300 or 400 hats out there when they had a 5-minute break to clear the hats out.
Very popular player, Dirk Graham. We haven't really talked about him, but he's the team captain, a real leader, quiet guy, doesn't get involved in any argy-bargy, but they love him in Chicago. Yeah,
he seems to do or play the role very well, and obviously that's why he's the captain. I can see him being a motivator too, individually, to each player. If a player's having a hard time, I can see Dirk going to him and having a quiet word and giving him a little bit of confidence. And obviously he's picked the team up here by getting 3 goals, and I can see the other players saying, hey, this guy's getting us back into the game. Let's do a bit ourselves.
Really leading by example, a captain's role.
Exactly.
So 3-3 at the end of the first period. I think we're a few seconds away now from the start of the second period. Strap your seatbelts. I think we're going to be in for a bumpy ride. Let's rejoin our commentators in Chicago, Bill Clement and Jigs McDonald.
Getting ready for the second period here in Chicago. A moment ago, John Davidson had a chance to check with the Pittsburgh coaching staff.
Coach, we go from a 1-0 defensive game to a wild first period. As a coach, what do you think of it?
Well, we have to do one thing. That is, we're being mesmerized by the puck in our own zone. We're leaving Dirk Graham wide open off the far post. And we have to make sure we're checking the players away from the puck as well. We got to get the puck out of our zone a little bit quicker, too, because the more we play in our zone, the more trouble it's going to turn.
As a coach of an offensive team, are you happy with the shootout?
Well, it's a 0-0 game as far as we're concerned. That's where we wanted to be after the first period, so we'll just pick up from there.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, JD.
Well, the game underway, the second period. The start of the period being brought to you by Molson, a part of the NHL tradition since 1957. Molson is Canadian beer. Brand new game, huh? Well, that's Pittsburgh's approach here. Chicago's Dirk Graham brings them across the line, but lost the puck, and now they're in the middle of a player change, and Kjell Samuelsson gave it to Samuelsson. Up to Mario Lemieux, drops it back to Stevens, centers it across, and Tocchet couldn't get a stick on it. Mario Lemieux did, left it for Stevens. There's Tocchet alone, shoots, lost it, he scores! Rick Tocchet regains the lead. Fourth time Pittsburgh is led by a goal. 92.
Well, am I the only guy that could see just adrenaline flowing through the legs of Mario Lemieux and Kevin Stevens and Rick Tocchet? They have come out on the charge. Deep into the zone, Lemieux was able to carry it, put it out front, came back to him again, and Rick Tocchet simply circled in front, waiting for the pass, and when he got it, he put an excellent move on Dominik Hasek. It looked like he was going to his backhand. He cut back to his forehand, and give Hasek some credit. He got a piece of it. Not enough. And Rick Tocchet gives the Penguins a 4-3 lead.
Tocchet's goal at the 58-second mark of the second period. And the Hawks back into their own zone to recover the puck. Ron Busku lays it up the boards and out toward center. Bounced on Jim Pack and got through him, but Kjell Samuelsson cuts across. Backhands it off the boards, but right to Brian Noonan. Noonan had nowhere to go. He has tipped the puck toward the corner. Roenick can't get to it. Noonan does. Into Roenick. He is checked, and now a backhander by Grimson went wide on a deflection. Penguins get it to Phil Bourque, but not out. Roenick's long shot is right on. Scooped up and held by Tom Barrasso. The Penguins have taken a 4-3 lead at Chicago.
Okay, John, you said they were both going to take it easy and be conservative. They've both come out firing straight away already.
Yeah, there goes my prediction. I think even before that goal, they had an opportunity. So they're forgetting their checks. They're chasing the puck. The discipline's going out the window a little bit. So that probably won't be the last goal of this period.
Certainly not. 4-3 now. Rick Tocchet with another crucial goal inside the first minute of the second period. Let's get back.
Face-off coming in the Pittsburgh zone. Ryan Noonan is in the middle for Chicago. He'll take the draw against Ron Francis of the Penguins. Right away, Gordy Roberts went to the boards to play the puck away from Dirk Graham. He's dumped it just inside the Chicago zone. Kravchuk back for it. Goulet in to join the play as well. Kravchuk and Chelios are the defense combination. Graham with Goulet and Noonan, the forward. Kravchuk with a pass to Noonan. Noonan got bumped solidly by McKecker, who's cleared at the center. Kravchuk moves it to the right wing boards, and Noonan dumps it in. There's around to the far side. That's Dirk Graham giving it to Goulet. Back to the point. Kravchuk puts it in deeper. Ryan Noonan, met by McKecker. The puck in and out of the referee's skates. Freed up by Goulet. Kravchuk lets it go. Up on top of the goal crease, above it to make the save is Barrasso. There'll be another face-off coming in the Pittsburgh end of the ice. We're early in the second period.
They're still looking very shaky, the Penguins, defensively.
Yeah, not finishing their checks off. Defense is kind of the boring side of the game. You know, you've got to finish your check, cover the puck out, but it looks like they're all trying to go into the offensive mode before they, you know, really have the chance to and try to be superstars. And what they've got to do is just play disciplined style hockey, do the basics first.
Well, the basics haven't been in evidence much, but I tell you, it's been thriller-minute stuff here in Chicago. Pittsburgh leading 4-3.
Chicago sending out a forward line of Jeremy Roenick. with Brian Marchment on left wing and Steve Larmer on the right side. Pittsburgh counters with the Brian Trottier unit. Trottier with Loney and Jagr.
Thought Brian Marchment had a good first period. Good skater, aggressive hitter. He's got to open holes for Roenick and Larmer.
And Marchment is pulled back and down. The stick came up, and referee Andy Van Helleman's arm came up immediately. Penalty call to be made. Pittsburgh leads by a score of 4-3 as we pause for a regional break. You're watching the 1992 Stanley Cup Championship round on Sports Channel America.
Well, Pittsburgh are going to have to play defense now, and they've looked very solid against the power play, haven't they, this series?
It was a good call, really. A lot of times in the NHL, you'll see the hooking, the holding. It doesn't allow the players to move or you know, show their skill. But here you see, he's trying to get a stick in a way. He comes up a little bit high, so I'm glad the refs called that. And it's wide open again, the power play for Chicago.
So the Blackhawks go to the power play. Pittsburgh still leading by 1. You're watching Screen Sports.
Well, Paul Stanton only picked up 2 minutes for hooking. It could have been worse because he got his stick up on Brian Marchment, and Marchment went down. Andy Van Helleman took about a minute to go over and check to see how Marchment was. When he didn't look very closely. I think at this stage of the hockey season, Andy Van Helleman doesn't want to know. If it's serious, he's got to know on it, though. Here, Marchment and Stanton coming into the screen, and as Marchment went to the corner, Paul Stanton had a stick ride up on him. You know, when the guy that's being hooked raises his arms, it forces the stick up, and very often it'll be an accidental hook, but it'll catch the guy in the face.
As a result, Chicago on the power play, and Chelios got it away. He'll handle it again as they fed it around to him. Into Brent Sutter, onto the stick of Jeremy Roenick. Roenick pulls it away from Murphy. Chelios checked in. Couldn't get to the puck in time, and Kravchuk comes back into his own zone as Lemieux moves up the forecheck for Pittsburgh. Lemieux and Francis on the penalty kill, along with Samuelson. Both Samuelson and Murphy. Igor Kravchuk shot it wide, and rebounds right out in front of Murphy is able to clear it. And Francis turns it up ice. Chelios will be the first man back, and Chicago changes the forwards now. Noonan has come out on the ice along with Goulet as Chelios leads the rush. Chelios hard around the boards. Barrasso lets it go this time. He was back checking Noonan, but at the blue line, it's Kravchuk. Tees one up. Trimmed aside by Barrasso. He stumbles, trying to get back into the goal mouth, and now Mario Lemieux will bang it down the ice. 1 minute remaining in the Chicago power play.
And as the play moved up ice, Tom Barrasso was yelling at Andy Van Helleman. I think he wanted an interference call on Brian Noonan. But the Hawks with lots of time to shoot and lots of time to screen in front.
Now they fail to get across the line, and they'll have to go back. Dominic Hasek will have to play the puck instead. Mario Lemieux came into forecheck. Here's Igor Kravchuk with it. And Dirk Graham up the middle of the ice. 3 Penguins back as Graham dumps it in and rebounded off the boards, handled by Barrasso. There's Graham, and he is checked. Marchment had it at the point. Graham off left wing. In front to Noonan. To Graham. He is well covered, but now Busquets gets it right back to Graham, and he can't do anything with it. The Hawks are chased out towards center ice, but Busquets came back to check Gort. Gort takes a dive. Dirk Graham up with the puck. Put it in the zone, and only 10 seconds left now on the power play as the Penguins shoot it down the ice. Running the net is Brian Marchment. Through center ice, tips the puck into the Pittsburgh zone. Justus Stanton stepped out of the penalty box. Larry Murphy plays it to right wing. Now at the line by the Hawks, they dump it wide. Ernie Roberts plays it around the board. Chelios covering the right point, in deeper to Roenick. Rob Brown. Brown trying to get away from McEachran. Turns, can't complete the play. And now he's able to nudge it toward Larmer. Back to the blue line. Marchment with a drive. Through the goaltender and wide of the net. Chelios and Stanton go in deep. There's Rob Brown on the end boards. Brown can't get a stick on it. Murphy does. Picked up by Roenick's check. Rick Tocchet recovers, and McEachran comes out one-on-one. Larmer the lone man back, and the shot is blocked by Steve Larmer. Larmer through center to Roenick. Over the line with a pass to Rob Brown. Trying to get it back to Roenick, and it didn't go through. Here comes Mario Lemieux. Kravchuk back. Lemieux drives him on him, and Hasek hits the save. Wide open again in Chicago. The Penguins are leading the Blackhawks by a single goal. Tocchet, the goal in the second period.
So Chicago 1 for 15 on the power play in this series. That's another factor.
Yeah, that last power play, although they had a lot of the puck, it wasn't that effective. Lemieux and the rest of the Pittsburgh team, they stayed in the box well. They didn't really get a shot on goal, I don't think.
It's easy to forget that Mario Lemieux does a lot of good defensive work. He always comes out on the special teams and is a very effective penalty killer, as well as a sharp shooter in front of the net. He was frustrated that time, though.
Some terrific goaltending. Not the setup that we started with. Eddie Belfour was pulled in the first period. Dominic Hasek has really settled things down for the Blackhawks. And on the Blackhawks power play, the Penguins committed too many men to one side. This left Marchment wide open for a huge blast that found the 5-hole between Barrasso's legs, but just caromed wide. You don't think this guy doesn't have a reach? Mario Lemieux doesn't have to get in front of you. Watch what he does. He tosses the puck and then simply reaches by Igor Kravchuk for a shot on Hasek. Hasek just was able to stand his ground and make the save. And you better not be lured into playing the puck against Lemieux. Kravchuk played it the only way he could.
Lemieux lines up against Brent Sutter on this face-off. Lemieux went to the boards to recover the puck. Face behind the net, tries a wrap around and a backhand that's wide. Here's Tocchet. He can't slip it out in front. Hasek had it in the catching glove. Or did he? They're going to rule that it was in the mesh. It didn't end up in the glove. There's where it finally rested. And as a result, the play stoppage, the face-off brought outside the blue line. Well, effects for Brent Sutter, it appears, after stick in the face in that first period and nasty gash there along his left side of his face.
He's back doing what he does best. Even dropped to one knee in that play and was able to come around and regain control of his man-to-man assignment on Lemieux. That's a tall order when you don't fall to one knee.
Now the Blackhawks have dumped the puck in, and Sutter went racing in after it. And Sutter got it back to Kravchuk. A delayed penalty call coming here against Pittsburgh. Chelios turned the puck to the corner. Stevens recovers there. And referee Andy Van Helleman is calling a penalty against the Penguins. Another Chicago power play.
So Rick Tocchet, who scored the first goal of this period after just 58 seconds, has committed a transgression. Chicago get another power play opportunity, and they're getting all the pressure in this half, in this period rather.
But they're not getting those shots on goal. They're getting obviously the advantage of having a power play, but they've got to get some shots on goal, and they've got to get men to the goal. Last time you saw Smith, he could have walked it right in, but he took the long shot, but nobody was there to get in front of the shot.
We'll be back in Pittsburgh if Chicago wins this hockey game tonight. That would be Game 5 of your Stanley Cup final.
And Rick Tocchet is off for holding. Gosh, he really took Brian Marchment to the boards and left him there on his back. I'm kind of surprised that that was called holding.
Rick Tocchet was as surprised as anybody in the arena. Tocchet has the go-ahead goal. Making the score 4-3. The goal just before the 1-minute mark of period 2. Mike Keenan sends Brent Sutter to center ice. Steve Larmer and Dirk Graham on the wings. Marchment and Chelios on the points. Marchment steps in front of Mario Lemieux, but the puck gets out of the zone and is recovered by Chris Chelios. As Francis going into forecheck. Chelios around to Sutter, tight on the right wing boards. Brent Sutter to Chelios. Lemieux picked up the forecheck. Chelios starts out with it. Dirk Graham. Graham mishandled the puck at the blue line, and Marchment recovers at center ice. Fourth power play of the game for the Blackhawks. They've yet to connect. Brent Sutter tips it into the zone. Larry Murphy gets it to the line and was knocked down by Marchment with a pass that goes to Graham, but it's called back by referee Van Helleman. Stick over the shoulder level is the signal, and with Chicago on the power play, the result is that the face-off comes all the way down the ice into the Chicago zone.
Well, the Blackhawks may have only scored one power play goal in this series, but they're doing a lot of things right. And in this game in particular, they're getting a lot of chances. Should the Penguins not pay attention to their discipline factor, you have to figure that the Chicago Blackhawks, with the chances they're getting, are going to be able to smash one by Tom Barrasso. They've gotten it through him and wide of the post. They just haven't been able to get it through him and into the net. And Mike Keenan is a perceptive coach in this hockey game because he is playing the guys a lot who are playing well, and Brian Marchment is a guy that was really not that much of a factor in this series. Scored a nice goal in Pittsburgh in Game 1. But besides that, hasn't played a lot. Well, Mike Keenan spotted in the first period that Marchment really has the legs tonight, and Brian Marchment is not only playing well, but he is playing a lot.
Noonan got the puck to him, winning the faceoff from Francis. Marchment from back of the net. Noonan cuts through the middle. The puck went to Roenick, and he stuffed it into the corner. Larry Murphy, the first man there, and he skies it out of the zone. 68 seconds remaining in this Chicago power play. Roenick rounds the net. Gave it to Michel Goulet. Steps over center. Hard in off the boards. Rebounded in front. And all Samuelson got a swipe at it and puts it up into the seats. 55 seconds left in the penalty to Rick Tocchet.
You know, Chicago has modified something on their dump-ins. They were doing a lot of cross-corner dumps in games, well, in all of the games. Coming down one side and putting it into the far corner, across in front of Tom Barrasso. Michel Goulet was in a foot race for that one, and what the Blackhawks are doing is bringing the puck right up the middle of the ice and then shooting it about 10 feet wide on Barrasso so he can't get a stick to it. That means it caroms to the winger that's on whatever side the shot is going to, so you don't have to lob it all the way across the ice and into the far corner. They've had a lot of success with it. Gotten a lot of the pucks back. That last time, Alt Samuelson had to chip it into the crowd because he had Goulet all over him.
Now Brian Noonan is charged with the face-off against Ron Francis. Linesman Swede Knox to put the puck in play between these two centers. But they won't be around for the drop of the puck. Brian Noonan is waved out, so Jaromir Roenick comes in. And Francis beat him on the draw. Larry Murphy clears the zone for Pittsburgh. Malchuk will drop back here. Francis into forecheck, the pass to Roenick. Almost gave it away, but he was able to knock the stick out of the hands of Francis. And Noonan drops it off for Roenick. Makes the big turn and starts out. The pass to Kravchuk. He comes over center ice. Hard around the boards. Barrasso lets it go. Goulet can't recover, and Bob Berry sends Barry Lemieux into center ice. Long shot. Turned aside by Hotchek. Chelios recovering, and then starts out here. Chris Chelios through center and across the line. Noonan drives to the net. The pass is tipped and cleared out by Phil Bourque. And again, the Hawks have to go back. Time for one more rush, perhaps, on this power play. Chelios tight on the right wing boards. Moves it up ahead to Hudson, but that's over two lines and offside with 6 seconds remaining in the penalty to Tocchet. Chelios will get a rest.
You know, he sat for 2 minutes in the first period, so you deduct that potential 2 minutes from his ice time. And his total was just 10 seconds under 10 minutes. We'll round it off and call it 10 minutes out of 18 in the first period. Mike Keenan maintained that in game one, when he played 35 minutes, he was hardly even out of breath on the bench and wanted to be back out there so quickly. You talk about recovery time. Anybody that's ever had to play a sport that is similar to hockey, where you have to give it your all and then recover and then get back out there, understands recovery time. Chris Chelios, incredible. 25, 30 seconds on the bench, and he is ready.
How about Mario Lemieux? 10 minutes and 35 seconds of ice time in that first period. Defenseman, I can understand having the majority of the ice time, but Lemieux, the workhorse that he is, 10 minutes and 35 seconds. Penalty against the Penguins has expired. Pittsburgh leading by a score of 4-3. Had it out of the zone. The Hawks brought it back in offside, so the play is called. We have 12 minutes and 2 seconds left in this period.
So another power play goes down the chute, and John, we're perhaps not going to argue with Bill Clement, who knows the game with respect better than both of us, but we don't think Chicago are getting that many chances on the power play, do we?
Not really, and Pittsburgh are shutting them down quite well. So it's like gaining a goal themselves. Chicago get the advantage, and then they get no pressure whatsoever. So it's demoralizing, and it's killed off any sort of that momentum that they've had in the second period.
If you like numbers, take a look at this. It basically says that anytime Pittsburgh has gotten their opponent into a position to eliminate them, they do immediately. That is after having won the third game of the series. And look at the difference in goals. 34-7. They've outscored their opponents in winning the fourth game in 7 consecutive series.
We should have had a footnote under that graphic that said something about killer instinct, because that's what that's all about.
Now the Blackhawks get a chance, but the shot by Roenick didn't get through, and Trache feeds Jagr. Jagr across the line, put it through the defense, but Buskers reached back to clear it. Jagr Jagr beats Pack, setting up the left point. The shot turned aside, and Hasek has geared it up into the seats. Pittsburgh has outshot Chicago 16-13 to this stage in the game.
Mike Keenan has had no reason to think about putting Eddie Belfour back in because Dominic Hasek has played well. The Penguins have been able to get a couple by him. But Mike Keenan was not ready to take a chance. Kevin Stevens scored a one-handed goal between Eddie Belfour's legs in the first period, and at that point, Dominic Hasek came on.
You just joined us. Stanley Cup final playoff record was broken in the first period tonight. 3 goals in 30 seconds. 2 by Dirk Graham. In between, a goal by Kevin Stevens, the one that Bill referred to, that drove starting goaltender Ed Belfour from the net. Previous record had been 31 seconds. McEachran wins the draw for Pittsburgh. Ulf Samuelsson with a long shot off the catching glove of Hasek. Here's Igor Kravchuk starting out with it. Turned back by McEachran, but he was able to feed Roenick, and it didn't go anywhere. Now an offside being called. 11.5 minutes remaining in this second period. McEachran is with Jagr and Phil Bourque at the moment as Scotty Bowman gives us a look at yet another line combination. And Mike Keenan, the Chicago coach, is going to change up his forwards. He'll send out Goulet with Noonan and Bateau. U.S. Olympian Sean McEachran, who has played a lot of right wing, moves into center ice. Natural position out of the college ranks. Chelios dumps the puck in from center ice. Bounced off the boards. Goulet gets it to Noonan. Out in front is Bateau, and his shot was blocked by McEachran. Bateau up-battled McEachran to get his stick back, and now Goulet takes the puck. Made it through Noonan, who was back in the net, and up on the left side. Phil Bourque dumps it out. Now Cook will go back for it. Jagr comes into forecheck. Around the boards, held by Mario Lemieux. Just jumped over the boards. Chelios gets to it here. Nice little move on Mario Lemieux. Into the Goulet to Noonan off the tip of his stick. And Ulf Samuelsson clears the zone. Loose puck at center. Mario Lemieux to Larry Murphy. Murphy across the line. Holds it then center, but over the stick of Jagr. Lemieux got to it and centered it out in front. And Noonan able to clear it out for Chicago. Now the Blackhawks come through center. Kravchuk a long shot. Bounced off the catching glove. Taken back to the net and then turned up the boards by Gord Roberts. Intercepted by Chelios in front to center, and his shot went wide. That was tipped at the last second, and Jagr finds Lemieux moving out. Back comes Steve Smith. Lemieux pulls up, makes the pass. Stevens' shot is turned aside. Bell comes out in front and is scooped up. What a heady play by Mario Lemieux. Only to have the whole thing denied by Dominic Hasek, and it's still a 1-goal game.
Well, it looked like the Blackhawks were certain to score, then it looked like the Penguins were certain to score. Dominic Hasek came up with a wonderful save.
I tell you, watching Lemieux come down there with that move was just worth the price of admission. I'll tell you, that guy can move. Look at, they get the chance down in Pittsburgh's end as, again, an end-to-end rush. And who's got the puck? Lemieux goes down and makes a beautiful move on the defenseman. A little drop pass, but unfortunately, from Pittsburgh's point of view, they didn't score. But what a move. Super guy to watch.
Well, this is why we are here, to see athletes compete to their potential and at their potential just about every shift. That last sequence, Lemieux with the pass to Stevens, tremendous save by Dominic Hasek. Tom Barrasso had to make a beautiful save at his end. Here are the Blackhawks closing in on Tom Barrasso. Big shot from the slot that Tom Barrasso was able to get his pad on, seeing it through a crowd. Watch this play by Mario Lemieux. Backhand pass off the fake slap shot to Kevin Stevens, and Dominic Hasek may have been the only guy in the building that read that right.
Now the Hawks are into the Pittsburgh zone, only to have the play broken up. Mario Lemieux with the pass to Stevens. Left side to Rick Tocchet. Tocchet got bumped by Buskus, but he's able to move the puck cross ice to Mario Lemieux, and he leaned into Marchment at a big check. Now Samuelsson ducked it in.
Well, that was a payback because Marchment had stepped into Lemieux up ice.
Clear it, the Penguins put it back in, and Pack is met by Buskus. Chicago back behind the net. Steve Smith with a pass to Steve Larmer. On to Brent Sutter's stick. 2 Penguins back. Sutter finding a man who has just come out of the players' bench. Goulet, he goes to the corner, but gets checked. Jim Pack reaches in. The Hawks recover the puck. Here's Goulet. Centers one to Larmer. Larmer chased to the corner. Roberts, or Stanley, excuse me, all over him there. Back is met on the boards by Goulet. The puck pops loose. Pocket hits his own pass after playing it off the glass, and it bounces around and is cleared up by Francis to Paul Stanton. He dumped it in, but Chelios is able to knock it out of the air. Up to Dirk Graham. This crossing at the Penguin line. Drops it. There's Noonan with a shot that hit Pack, and it's recovered by Stanton. He's pulled over. Jocelyn Lemieux sent him to the ice, but back comes Ron Francis. Jagr up to join the play. The pass to Jagr didn't materialize. Harry was unable to get a stick on it as well, and the Hawks failed to move through center as they started out quickly. Murphy back, gave it to Harry. He lost it to Chelios. Harry again nudged it to the line, and again the Hawks are checked. Here's Ron Francis. Francis to Murphy, long shot. Hasek the save, and he dives out to cover it, and then a crowd developed. Somebody in a black and gold uniform fell over top of Dominic Hasek, and that sets out this.
I think it was Larry Murphy. Chris Chelios was there, and then Bob Barry came in to put the glove in Chelios' face.
Game settled down. 8 minutes and 28 seconds left in this second period. 1 goal. Pittsburgh leads by.
I'm touching wood here, John, but the goal rush seems to have slowed down a little bit, but certainly there's no shortage of incident as Bob Airy goes off without his helmet.
Well, it's been a bit like that in this second period. A little bit lackluster, and then all of a sudden end-to-end rushes. One chance at one end, and then they're rushing down the ice, and there's another chance. So you just don't know what to expect in this game.
It really is a sensational game, and plenty more action to come.
Jaromir Jagr has just gone down the steps to the Pittsburgh dressing room, but he is with the equipment manager, Steve Flatten. Chelios putting his helmet back on after that skirmish in front of the Chicago net.
Please go to your car immediately.
And it was actually Chris Chelios that pulled Larry Murphy down on top of Hasek, and then Chris Chelios isn't finished with Larry Murphy yet. They finished game 3 just about in that position. They started game 4 here like that. This may be getting a little sloppy, but boy, is it ever exciting.
Think back to the first period, that big elbow that Chelios threw into Larry Murphy as well that resulted in his penalty call.
Also resulted in a Pittsburgh power play goal.
We're attending to one of Jaromir Jagr's skates, we're told, from the Pittsburgh dressing room area. Must mean that he stripped an edge. Sharpen that up as Brian Trottier gets ready to sharpen up in the face-off, wins the draw. That shot was blocked, and the Hawks get out of the zone. Here's Dirk Graham. He has all 3 of their goals. Trying to drive in on Ulf Samuelsson. Put the puck between his skates. Big takedown. Trottier pulled Marchment off his skates. And Trottier picks up the puck and lifts it up ahead. Stanton and Marchment collide. Now moving on is McEachran. Bourque trailing the play. McEachran's shot is turned aside. Bill Bourque trying to get to it. Was pulled back by Dirk Graham, and the Hawks cleared out. Penguins put it right back in the zone, and Graham moves out through center ice. Knocked off balance by Bill Bourque. Hasek is checked by McEachran, who shot went off the catching glove of Hasek. Chelios turns it up the left side, and the Hawks trying to come through center with a long pass for Graham. He did make contact with it, but it's across 2 lines, and that's outside.
Boy, the Hawks have picked up the scent, the hitting scent. Ryan Noonan with the big hit in his last shift. Brian Marchment has been a one-man wrecking crew for the Blackhawks. Tremendous physical presence. But remember what John Davidson said before this game started. He said they can't go out of their way for the big hit. And some of the Pittsburgh Penguins' breaks have been because of those big hits that have been really out of the play. Brian Trottier pulled Brian Marchment down. No call on that one. And Andy Van Hellemond has really put his whistle away. See Jagr falling down, top left of the screen. Pretty good indication that he has lost an edge. Yeah, well, that's the outside edge of his right skate that is gone. That's why he's gone to the locker room.
Rick Tocchet, Mario Lemieux, and Kevin Stevens make up the forward line for the Penguins at the moment. Hawks countering with Grimson, Sutter, and Larmer. And the puck is tipped over the boards and on into the seats. 7.5 minutes remaining in the second period. Mario Lemieux had a goal, added an assist in the first period. He also assisted on Rick Tocchet's goal here in the second. Leads all the scorers, both goals and assists in the Stanley Cup playoffs of '92. Tony Roberts talking with him this morning. Was you still talking about the no-name defense?
What is your name again?
They are a loose group, this Pittsburgh team. They have been, even in the series with Washington, I was told, and especially so in the series with the New York Rangers. Even after the injuries to Joey Mullen and Mario Lemieux, they remain focused and in total control. On to win that, and then swept through the Boston Bruins and are poised to sweep through the Blackhawks, although the Hawks are putting up a tough battle here tonight. Pittsburgh leads 4-3. Brent Sutter brings Chicago through center, but Roberts took away the dump-in attempt. Steve Smith drives in along the left wing board. Smith trying to center off the net. Oh, the shot turned aside by Barrasso. Coming late was Larmer, and he got a big shot off.
Steve Larmer has not had many opportunities like that one. He usually buries those.
Now Larmer tied up back of the net. The puck rolls off the mesh. Brent Sutter trying to center, and look at the way the Penguins go to him, and they free up the puck for Mario. To Kevin Stevens. He can't get through center right. Steve Smith waits for the Hawks to come back, then dumps it in. It bounces toward Barrasso. Headed off to Roberts. Both teams in the middle of player changes. Roberts looked to Murphy in the far corner. Plays it up the left wing boards instead. It bounced off Chelios. Picked up by Kevin Stevens. Propels it on into the Chicago end of the ice. Now the Penguins get a chance to complete their player changes. Rache has jumped on, gets bumped on the boards. Washington Lemieux. Chris Chelios to Brian Noonan. The pass out of his reach. Pack recovers at the line. Got it into the corner. Here's Chelios. Up to the left side. Penguins pinched in, but now Jaromir gets to center, has knocked out the puck, but they follow through. Jocelyn Lemieux's shot is grabbed and held by Barrasso. The clock at Chicago Stadium shows 6 minutes and 5 seconds to play in the second period.
So chances continuing to pour in. Jeremy Roenick with the best of them, and frustrated.
Yeah, Larmer had the chance to one-time it. He was right in front of the net, and usually he'll put them away, but I think he's a bit rusty because he hasn't had those scoring chances, not only in this game, but in the whole series. So, if he can be a little bit patient, he'll put them away. But there's your picture of the two goalies, and they could be this deciding factor in this game.
Goaltending matchup. Dominic Hasek who came in to replace Ed Belfour on the left. Tom Barrasso on the right.
Boy, they got credentials in the past. Tom Barrasso won the Vezina as the best in the league in 1983, his rookie year. Also won the Calder that year, first All-Star. And Eddie Belfour was replaced by Dominic Hasek, the man on the left. In Czechoslovakia, goalie of the year in 86, 7, 8, 9, and 90. Czech player of the year, 87, 89, and 90. Czech first All-Star, 88, 89, and 90. And a first All-Star last year in Indianapolis of the International League. Not bad.
Chicago wins the draw. Buskus, after taking it from Krawcheck, puts it back to the net. Del Danielson stepped in front of Grimson, played it to the corner boards. Toe kept it in deep. Now big hit thrown by Rob Brown as he caught Pack. Pittsburgh recovered the puck and cleared it out, and Buskus has to go back for Chicago. To the middle, Rob Brown at the line. Check, it came right back to him. He can't get it in any further, and Pack gives it to Sean McEachran. McEachran with a burst of speed, driving on Krawcheck. Put it out in front, and Loney can't tap that by Hasek. Krawcheck went with a solid check from McEachran. Meantime, Buskus gets it over the line and shoots it back to the net. Lou Grimson in the far corner pulls up. The crowd reacts to his presence. Stew is the chant, but the Penguins come up with the puck. Jagr met by Chelios. And the Hawks recover. Steve Smith goes to the left side. Goulet dumps it in. Barrasso up to play it here. Stopped it through Hudson and onto the stick of Loney. Loney to Trache up through center, but the Hawks tighten up there, and Hudson has it now. Hudson trying to get away from Loney. Jagr freed it up and turned it over, and Goulet's long shot goes wide. Stanton races after it. Hudson came in quickly, gave it to Goulet, centers it back, but away from Chelios. And the Hawks are forced back into their own zone. Under 5 minutes to play in the second period. Chelios has dumped it in, and the Penguins touch it first. That's an icing call against Chicago. Pittsburgh leading 4-3. Scotty Bowman with an opportunity to win another Stanley Cup in what has been a brilliant coaching career. Look at this number. Dick Irvin, after winning his first Stanley Cup as a coach in 1932, went 12 years before he would win again, the first of many. And Scotty Bowman last won a Stanley Cup with the Canadiens in '79. 13 years out of the game for 4 years after having coached and handled things in Buffalo, Does it happen tonight? Does it happen this year? The Hawks will have a lot to say about it over the course of this game and series if it is indeed extended. Right now, Scotty's team is up by a score of 4-3 late in the second period here at the stadium. Let's check in with our Mike Emmerich. Doc?
Steve Latin, the equipment manager, has sharpened the skate of Jaromir Jagr. On our wristwatch, about 6 minutes of a delay, but on the scoreboard clock only turned out to be about 2.5. But it was only a skate problem, and he's headed back out.
Indeed, he is on the right side of this forward line with Juan Francis in the middle and Phil Bourque on the left. Ryan Noonan on the draw for Chicago. The Penguins get to it. Roberts sends one wide. Ronick over on the left wing boards. Feeds it to Noonan. Noonan elects to dump it in. A soft up in here. Greg Gilbert after it to Ronick. They score!
You can tell when the Hawks are on top of it, when their dump-ins are resulting in turnovers and scoring chances. Greg Gilbert missed that completely, but Jaromir Ronick was right behind him to support. Brian Noonan went to the side. Larry Murphy thought he had him, and he really did. This just banked in off of Brian Noonan, or did it actually go in off Larry Murphy? It may have even bounced in off the back of Larry Murphy, but give Jaromir Ronick a lot of credit for his pursuit. Greg Gilbert was the first guy in. Ronick was right there behind him, and that is one of the keys to Chicago's success in the dump and chase. 2 men in.
And Marchment comes right back in, gets his own rebound, and Barrasso stopped both shots. Larmer with Brent Sutter. Chelios covering the left point. Marchment in deep is taken down, and again the crowd at Chicago Stadium roars. No penalty call. Steve Smith covering the puck. Now picks it up and dumps it in. Barrasso lays it back to the net for Old Samuelson. The game is tied 4-4. Evan Stevens with a pass to Lemieux. He's onside. Off the wing. Shoots. Hunter got a chunk of that. And Lemieux is crashed on the board. He gets up slowly as the play moves towards center. Larmer is over the line. Lemieux is still deep in the zone, and Barrasso has to kick the puck inside. The whistle had sounded. The play was offside to begin with. Mario is still deep in the Chicago zone, and now headed for the player's bench. 3.5 minutes left in the second period, and a 4-4 tie.
Well, seeing Mario go over to the sidelines or to the bench there looking very shaken up, that could be bad news for the Penguins. And this also was bad news, a fourth equalizer for Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago know when their game's on top. When they dump it into the opposite corner, the winger's flying it in, beats the defenseman to the puck, just throws it in front of the net, and I think it got off Murphy or Noonan. But just a great goal, a lot of hustle, because this winger on the right-hand side just beat the defenseman to the puck.
Top of the screen is the dump in by Brian Noonan. At the bottom of your screen is Greg Gilbert, who was the first man in. Noonan's dump goes all the way in. Gilbert will miss it, but you can see Ronick following up on the play. A little attempted dump to Brian Noonan that banked in off the back of Larry Murphy. And that is the tying goal. We are 4-4 here with 3:31 to go in the second.
Ronick's 11th in the playoffs. His first in this Stanley Cup Final Series. Assists have been credited to Brian Noonan and Greg Gilbert. What is a 4-4 tie. The Hawks, after controlling the puck, over to the left side. Krawchuk dumps it down the ice. Again, a slow dump in, and they get to it. Brian Noonan sets up Busquets, but it jumped over his stick. Not Busquets in deeper. Ronick waits back to the net. Able to center it to a teammate. Ryan Trottier got checked at the line. Now Pack moves it up ahead. Jagr tied up at the Chicago line. 3 Hawks collide, but they come up with the puck. Busquets turns sharply in front of Hotchek. Picked up by Trottier, but Busquets able to move it down the ice. This is going to result in a whistle. 19 call against Chicago.
Well, the Blackhawks have done a terrific job in this hockey game of keeping the puck away from Tom Barrasso. They have changed their dumps a little bit. At times they bring it up center and dump it either to the right or the left, just wide of the net. But Brian Noonan, number 10, the guy you're looking at on the bench, did execute a perfect, soft cross-corner dump. He came down on the left wing boards, dumped it into the right wing corner. Greg Gilbert was the first guy there, and Jeremy Roenick, who is just coming off the bench, was the second man there. Yeah, you got to love Jeremy Roenick in this building, and he loves Chicago as well. His dad was telling me this morning he doesn't want to leave here ever. Loves the players, loves the team, the people, and it's kind of mutual. Tough not to like a guy that scores 53 goals for your hockey team.
Ain't that the truth? Ryan Trottier loves it in Pittsburgh, would like to play there again next year. So many things will happen between now and the expansion draft that will accommodate both the Ottawa Senators and the Tampa Bay Lightning, two new teams coming into the National Hockey League for next season. Stefan Matteau. The Chelios, but the whistle has sounded. The play was offside as the Hawks trying to move into the Pittsburgh end of the ice. I think of something that Mike Keenan said this morning at his press briefing, Bill, that the Blackhawks did very well in the first period tonight. More cross-ice flow in front of the net. He wanted more action in front of the Pittsburgh net.
Well, he got some of that even on this play, although Brian Noonan was backing off the play. Larry Murphy was facing Noonan with his back to Jeremy Roenick when this puck bounced in right off his right leg or off his rear end. Yeah, I think the Chicago Blackhawks have done a lot better job of screening Tom Barrasso in this hockey game. But keep in mind, Pittsburgh has not been as good in their defensive coverage.
And they've just given the puck away again, and Graham got one, a hard shot on target. Barrasso came out to challenge and stop it. That's an area that Pittsburgh very seldom did in the early games of this series. Turned the puck over at their end of the ice.
Yeah, when you give point men enough time to shoot, you give forwards enough time to screen. And I think that has been a problem for the Penguins in this game compared to the first three. Their coverage in their zone has not been tight, especially out at the blue line.
Andy Van Hellemond, watch Brent Sutter move in for the face-off. Marchman is on the left, Larmer is on the right, so Mike Keenan has broken up his line and stayed with the breakup. Chelios moves in from the blue line, and his shot was deflected wide. Marchman put it out in front, but right through Larmer, and Tocchet moves it onto the stick of Mario Lemieux. Lemieux trying to go through the defense, slips the puck to, and Hasek clears the zone. Murphy dumps it back in. Offside is called here. Lemieux saying, I didn't hear the whistle.
Doesn't matter if you think you've heard it or not. Pull the trigger there. Pull the trigger.
Chicago, outshot in the first period, has come back to outshoot Pittsburgh here in the second, and they're having fun. The capacity crowd, it'll be announced as just over 18,000, but I get the feeling there are more people than that in here. Probably closer to 20,000. And the new stadium across the street, under construction, will be opening in 1994. And please be into reminding you that Bill in the 1-minute movie, we're out at the construction site today. Just a little tease about what's coming up in our second intermission tonight. Vasquez tips the puck into the Pittsburgh zone, and it's cleared right back out. That'll roll to Hasek. Out of Kravchuk. Start out on the left wing boards. Jocelyn Lemieux gave it to Vasquez, who dumps it in now, and Larry Murphy goes back. Murphy played it around the boards as he saw Noonan coming after it. Here's Tocchet on left wing. Up to Mario Lemieux. He picks the pocket of Kravchuk, comes into the backhand. Hit it by Hasek. What a big stop. The Blackhawks start out on the right side, but Kirk Graham is checked. Following through is Jocelyn Lemieux. He's over the line with a pass to Graham. He shoots. That changed direction as Samuelson tipped it for Pittsburgh. Noonan keeps it in to Lemieux. Now to Graham. Paul Samuelson tying him up. Ryan Noonan there as well, but Larry Murphy has dug the puck loose. Gave it to Tocchet. Pass to Mario Lemieux. He is taken down by Chelios. Up comes Stevens. Look at that play by Hasek. How do you do? You talk about a challenge. And now the Hawks recover at center ice. Steve Smith brings them into the Pittsburgh zone.
1 minute to play.
We've seen a little bit of everything in this game. Goulet to Roenick. Jeremy Roenick to Steve Larmer. Back to Chelios. That's a goal. It was blocked by Kevin Stevens. Stevens favoring his left leg after blocking that shot. Here's Goulet across the blue line. Michel Goulet can't get that through Kevin Stevens. seconds left in the second period. Steve Larmer across the line with a pass that is tipped out of the zone. Jagr can't pick it up, however. Steve Smith gets the play back onside. But now he has to wait as his teammates get up ahead of him. Puck is dumped in. Also tips it back to the net. Kjell Samuelsson plays it around the board. Larmer trying to dig it off the corner boards. Does with 13 seconds left, but he missed the man at the left point. And Steve Smith has to drop back. Not enough time for a rush for the Blackhawks. Brent Sutter takes a look, gave the puck to Larmer. One long shot, however, and he can't get it on. Samuelsson shot it off Jagr's skate as the horn sounds to end what was an unbelievable second period. Here's our John Davidson.
Jake, what we've seen here is Chicago much smarter with their dump-ins that led to the fourth goal, the one that Roenick banked in off of Larry Murphy. When it doesn't happen, though, we're seeing Pittsburgh counter every shift almost, and Lemieux's on the ice. He's getting some sort of a counter play up through the middle. He is hungry. He has been great, but so is Dominic Hasek. Jagr?
We have seen some tremendous hockey through 40 minutes here in Chicago. The score is the Penguins 4, the Hawks 4.
And we're going to take a short break now to try and gather our breath once again. Just 2 goals in that second period, but again, no shortage of incident. We'll be back with an assessment of that second session right after this short break. You're watching the Stanley Cup live here on Screen Sports. Welcome back to Chicago. Nick Halling along with John Lawless. We're both trying to catch our breath. I tell you, if you're staying up through the early hours, then I tell you, you're enjoying a tremendous game of hockey. Can the Penguins put the Blackhawks away? 4 times they've held the lead, 4 times it's been taken back, and the story of that second period, Dominic Hasek.
Yeah, he's come up with some tremendous saves. Just when Pittsburgh looked like they're going to pull it away, he comes up with some big saves. But unfortunately here, from his point of view, Taka puts a beautiful deke on him and throws the puck upstairs and just trickles over the line. There he goes, puts Hasek down, gets a glove on it, but just gets behind the goal line.
And Paul Stanton gets involved in a bit of high sticking there, or was lucky just to go off for 2.
Yeah, I caught him up high. And here's Lemieux. He's got his first chance on Hasek. He's kind of got a breakaway, but again, he just shuts down. Hasek doesn't make the first move. He lets Lemieux make the first move, and he comes up with a save. Barrasso makes a nice split save there, and then right after that, the puck was fired up to Lemieux again, who makes a beautiful play on Smith, puts it between his legs, and Stevens just couldn't finish off, but a beautiful, beautiful play there by Lemieux. And Chelios and Murphy, they're still kind of carrying over their conflict from last game. Sort of unnecessary, really, because the game has been pretty clean as far as the fisticuffs are concerned.
Apart from Chelios.
Yeah, he gets the odd stick in there now and then. Again, Chicago love to dump it in nice and soft, and they get on the puck first. Roenick just fires it towards the goal, hits Murphy in the back leg. He couldn't do anything about it, but it was a lucky goal, but at least they were on to the puck first.
They made their luck in that one, didn't they?
Yeah, they hustled, and that's the way they play. They like to dump and chase, and it paid off. Here again, you see it. The important factor here is Chicago are first onto the puck. But you got to take your chances when it's tight checking as this game is.
That's 4 apiece. Now, I was convinced there was going to be at least 1 goal for Pittsburgh to come, but somebody else had other ideas.
Hasek comes way out of his crease. He read that play beautifully, and that was the second save in about 10 seconds.
That's the period scoring. Rick Tocchet with Mario Lemieux on the assist after 58 seconds. Roenick with assists from Brian Noonan and Claude Gilbert. Leveling it up once again at 15:40. Shots on goal, I've lost count. Let's have a look. Not as many as you'd think. There seems to have been a lot more shots on goal going in. Chicago just having an edge there, 22-21. Dominic Hasek, though, it looks as if he's not going to be breached again, doesn't he?
He's going to turn this game around with those 2 big saves. It could be the deciding factor.
4 all then after 2 periods of play. A tremendous third session coming up. We're going to take another short break. We'll be back for more action and chat right after this break. You're watching the Stanley Cup on Screen Sports. welcome back. Now, my old mate John Lawless here is a big Toronto Maple Leafs fan for his sins, and he's been very interested in a career move this week. Pat Burns has left Montreal to join Toronto. Why?
I submitted my resignation to Montreal for the benefit of the organization. I wanted the organization and the team to function effectively. As a result, it was in my best interests and of the organization. I think it was time to move on. We're all ready to do it. I think Cliff has proved it. I've proved it. I'm here. But I think the players are going to have to show us they're all ready to win. They always say that. Yeah, we want to win. We want to win. But they're going to have to realize what they have to do to win every night. And I'll be there to remind them about that.
Well, the good news for Maple Leafs fans like John Lawless is for Toronto, the only way is up. They didn't make the playoffs this year, but with Pat Burns around, I'd love to see that situation lasting for too long. Another quick break now. We'll be back with the third period in just a moment. You're watching Screen Sport. Getting ready for the start of the third period here in Game 4 of the Stanley Cup. Nick Halling along with John Lawless. John, before we get back to the action, your thoughts on Pat Burns joining the Maple Leafs?
Well, I'm pleased. Toronto are trying desperately to get back, I guess, into the playoff frame, because the last couple of years they haven't even made the playoffs. It's a great hockey town, but unfortunately their organization hasn't really been successful over the years. So, you know, maybe with this introduction of this coach, he can install a little bit of discipline that Toronto's been lacking over the years.
Well, it doesn't take long to turn a franchise around. I've been following these Penguins for years, and always the battle was, the question was, would they even make the playoffs? And 9 times out of 10 they didn't. And yet within a year they went from not making the playoffs to winning the whole thing.
I think the general manager has played a big role there. Obviously, with your draft choices, they got Lemieux, and now they got Jagr, and they can build a team around that, and they've got youth and experience there. Toronto's problem has been that exactly. They've maybe bought in or traded away some good players and traded in some players, big names, but maybe on the wrong side of 30. And for that, trading away some draft choices. So you can't really build for the future there. So, you know, hopefully with this introduction to this coach, they've got a good GM there now. And a good goalie. So they got the nucleus there of a good team. So it might all gel.
Let's come back to this series. I'm wondering whether the decision to bring out Ed Belfour and put in Dominik Hasek is going to be look back at one of the most inspired moves in Stanley Cup history, because he looks like a guy that could really ignite a Blackhawk revival here, doesn't he?
It looks like a big move by Keenan. It looks like the right move. A lot of people might have doubted it at the time. He goes, you know, Belfour could do no wrong. You know, he was God as far as goaltending was concerned. But Keenan read the game well. He said, right, he's made a few mistakes. I'm going to put Hasek in. He was confident with it. And Hasek, you know, he hasn't let him down at all. He's come up with some tremendous saves, especially near the end of that second period. 2 big saves, twice on Lemieux, and then obviously on Stevens on that breakaway. He's read the offense well. Maybe when his defenses broke down a little bit, Hasek's been there. So if Chicago are aware of that, that could lift them and say, hey, look, again, just like Graham in the first period said, he's been doing all the goals getting us in this game. The goalie's been keeping us in this game. Let's help him out now, and let's pay him back.
I keep saying, John, as you know, when we're handing over to Jiggs and Bill, that every time Pittsburgh get ahead, I say one more goal, and I think a 2-goal margin would win it for Pittsburgh. They just can't get their noses ahead and keep them there, can they?
That's it. It would kill it. The game, they got 2 goals ahead, but fortunately, from Chicago's point of view, they've managed to come back and tie it 4 times, I think, tonight. So. It'd be interesting. I think the first goal of this third period would be a big one, and the team that does score it might try to sit on it subconsciously, but they can't really afford to do that because it's been such a wide open game.
Well, whatever happens, it is so good at last to see the Blackhawks living up to their potential, because they haven't looked a particularly good team at all through the first 3 games, but in Game 4 we're seeing the Blackhawks that we've enjoyed all season long.
Exactly, and you're getting a more all-around team performance, and hopefully for, you know, from their fans' point of view, that Larmer will come through. Roenick he's already got a lucky goal, but a little bit more offense from the the names that you usually associate Chicago goals.
Well, John, your thoughts on the keys for this third period? Obviously a big one for both teams. Who's going to win it and how?
Oh, you put me on the spot there.
I know.
if Hasek keeps playing like he has, and I can't see why not, because he'd be so pumped, and he'll be getting the encouragement from the players. I think Chicago could pull this one off, and I wouldn't expect it to be a pretty goal or a pretty couple goals. I think it's just going to be hard bump and grind and a trickler just going over the goal crease.
John thinks the Blackhawks are going to win it. I have to admit, I've got to agree with him. To find out, let's rejoin the third period and Jigs McDonald.
Welcome back to Chicago Stadium. Over the past 3 seasons, now into the 4th, Sports Channel America has had the privilege of bringing you that Stanley Cup presentation. We'll have it again this season. Will it be tonight? This game is on the line, tied 4-4. I'm Jigs McDonald with Bill Clement, John Davidson, and Mike Emmerich. And we're set for the third period. The opening face-off to be brought to you by Molson, a part of the NHL tradition since 1957. Molson is Canadian beer. Mario Lemieux at center ice for Pittsburgh. Brent Sutter moves in to take the draw on behalf of the Blackhawks. And he wins the draw, getting the puck to Chelios. Lands it hard around, off the boards, and out of the zone, but it's being called back. 6 seconds into the period. Chicago offside, moving into the Pittsburgh zone.
Chicago went for the jugular right away. That was a set play. Right off the opening face-off to Chelios, and he was showing that he was going to dump it in hard around behind Tom Barrasso. He just cross-cornered it for Brent Sutter. Larry Murphy was back there to get it first. It's offside anyway. But this should be a period of roulette. Rich Preston said they don't want to pull their defense out. They want to generate offense. They've been able to do that. But against the Pittsburgh Penguins, it's plain roulette.
Hard around by Chelios. They flooded the left wing boards, but the play goes to the right side, and Lemieux with a pass that is cut off by Brent Sutter. Covered here by Steve Smith. Smith up the left side to Brian Marchment. Banks it off the boards. Got his own pass, then was checked. And here's Mario Lemieux. Chelios dropping back. Lemieux pulled it back and shot it right on. Oh, is he one talented individual? Now the Hawks start out. Brent Sutter gets checked by Mario Lemieux. Steve Smith to Chelios. Pocket picking up the forecheck roll. The puck went to Steve Smith. Off the boards into the Pittsburgh zone, and Pack moves it out. Graham will shoot it in here. And right to Jim Pack. On to Mario Lemieux's pick. He dumps it toward the far corner, and the Hawks will have to go back. Pittsburgh in the middle of the player change. Chicago coming up the left side, led by Chelios. The pass to Rolling. Bounced off him to Bateau. He shoots off Barrasso's shoulder, and he's able to clear the goal bound. Chelios and McEachran meet on the far boards. Ron Francis had dug it loose. Now Bateau puts it in front. On Barrasso to play the boards. Basha covering the line. Kept it in. Now Brian Noonan recovers at the blue line. Can't make the pass. And up ice is Sean McEachran leading the Pittsburgh rush. A pass to Jagr. In front to Francis. Hasek takes away the low ice. Hasek down and appeared to be out. Reached back and took away another great scoring chance.
Already 2 sensational saves from this guy. I'm a die-hard Pittsburgh fan. I'm sick of the sight of this fella. Bring back Belfer.
I'll tell you, luck's on his side too. He was beat there, but he still was in position. Luckily, not too sure who is it. Is it Francis coming in here?
Yep, it's Francis.
He still had it, but you know, Hasek's just spread right out. Everything's working his way. He's going to be pumped, and that should lift Chicago.
Had 3 men on the rush. There were only 2 Hawks back. It turns into a 2-on-1. We'll stop right here and show you that with 1 Hawk getting out of the way, it's a 2-on-1 situation. Jagr over to Ron Francis. And guess what? The Chicago Blackhawks have had their secret weapon in uniform all along. They just had him on the bench. But he's in tonight. Dominik Hasek has been incredible.
Man. There's the man who started the game. Goaltender Ed Belfour. Kind of thought Mike Keenan would put Belfour back in, but the way Hasek has played, that's replacing the starting goaltender just past the 6.5-minute mark of the opening period. Hasek has been sensational. Game tied 4-4. The Hawks deep in their own zone. Igor Kravchuk. Here's it out toward center. Larry Murphy will recover as Bateau moved up quickly. The pass to Walt Samuelson, and he gets it to center. Off McEachran. Noonan shoots it off the boards, on into the Pittsburgh zone. Oh, Samuelson rounds the net, looks up ice, went to Jagr, and he slipped and fell, but played it away from Goulet. Now the Hawks are over the line. Jaromir had trouble handling it. Goes to the corner, slips away from Murphy. Roenick puts it in the goal mouth. Big rebound. Chelios started in, but Jagr got to the puck and cleared it. Steve Smith trying to get the Blackhawks onside again, dumped it in, and Barrasso played it. That results in the whistle. Face-off coming in the center ice area.
You got to figure that Jaromir Jagr is checking his edge again. He went down in the neutral zone, and that allowed the Hawks to blitz over the blue line again. Roenick lost the puck. He was just about to tee it up. But away from the play in this hockey game, there has been a lot of stick work. Michel Goulet trying to move into position. Brian Trottier tied him up, and then Larry Murphy got there as well. There's Murphy with the cross-check, the back of Goulet. And, the turnaround spear. How's that hot dog feel that you ate before the game now, Larry?
Don't like to see that happen. The sticks become too much involved in some of these games. Now Goulet has the puck on the stick, and he gives it to Rob Brown. 3 Penguins back. Brown got it across the line, but Roenick was ahead of him. Brown tried to dump in, that hit Bork, came back to him, was forced to carry it over the line and put the thing offside.
And you would think that Mike Keenan is going to open up all barrels, and that means moving a guy like Rob Brown, who's more of an offensive player than a defensive player, up to a line now and again with Jeremy Roenick and Steve Larmer. Michel Goulet is another sniper that they can put with the Larmer-Roenick combination.
Chicago changing up, setting up Buskets and Krawchuk as the defense combination. Jocelyn Lemieux at center. Dirk Graham on the right side and Stefan Bateau on the left. Pittsburgh countering with the Brian Trottier line. Trottier and Loney together, and Phil Bork, the other forward. Krawchuk out of the net to play it. Krawchuk flips it through center, but over the glass and out of play. Still 17 minutes and 6 seconds remaining in the third period at Chicago. Pittsburgh, no matter the outcome of this game, will take a charter aircraft back to Pittsburgh immediately following tonight's game. The Blackhawks have travel plans for tomorrow afternoon in preparation for Game 5, if there is to be a Game 5 in this series. It all hinges on the third period and maybe even more. We could be in for overtime tonight the way this game has gone. Brian Trottier moving Shell Samuelson. Jagr pointing to where he wants him to be as well. Trottier turned on the draw, but got checked by Noonan, and the Hawks clear the zone. But Jagr gets back. Jaromir Jagr's pass, cross ice as it was behind Bork, and the Hawks have dumped it in. Well, Samuelson trying to get it out. Jagr carries it through center ice. Over the Chicago line. Jagr shifting, picks up the puck again to Trottier for a shot. Trottier with the rebound. It's on the doorstep. He bangs at it, but can't get it under Hasek. 35-year-old Brian Trottier with another big opportunity for Pittsburgh.
You could almost tell that Jaromir Jagr wanted to make this thing happen all by himself, but when it bogged down for him, Trottier was coming, and he caught it all. Hasek with one save, then a second save, and you might be able to see the puck lying right there. No chance for Brian Trottier to get it either under or over Hasek.
Pittsburgh has outshot Chicago 4-1 in this period.
Crowds everywhere around both goaltenders, and you just have to block them out.
Now the Penguins controlling the puck in the Chicago zone. They set up Stanton at the right point. He shoots. Hasek got a chunk of that. Steve Smith was all over top of Tocchet in his effort to get to the rebound. Rick Tocchet got a stick on it, but the puck went to Brent Sutter. Up to Chris Chelios, who dumps it wide to Barrasso. Their goaltender put it back in the net for Alt Samuelson. Up the right wing boards to Tocchet. Here's Lemieux on a breakaway. And a bouncing puck. Shoots. Hasek, another save! Great goaltending. Great shooting. Great game in Chicago.
Jo, at
you've proved your point now. You get off the ice, please, and let the Penguins win this series.
I think Hasek's been watching Lemieux videos for the last month. Lemieux's got about 3 or 4 brilliant options on breakaways. He's got the reach, so he's got the deke or the shot. Now, again, he goes down, he drops that shoulder, he wants to throw it upstairs in the corner. But Hasek reads it and he says, I'll go down, but I'll throw the mid up there and I'll just snap it out of the air. Beautiful save. And I'll tell you, Lemieux he must be shaking his head. How do I beat this guy?
There is really no greater test for any goaltender in the world than to have to face Mario Lemieux point blank, and Hasek has done it 3 times since coming in relief of Ed Belfour in the first period, and he has absolutely stoned Mario Lemieux every time. Unbelievable. Hasek, 27 years of age, he played in 20 games over the regular season. 110, 1 ended in a tie, only 4 losses, and a very respectable 2.60 goals against average. Played since the series against St. Louis, the opening round for the Blackhawks. Here's Lemieux with the puck, centered it, but behind Tocchet. And up the other side comes Brent Sutter for the Chicago Blackhawks. Maybe not Kravchuk skates, and it's cleared up toward center, recovered. Buskus had it, lost it. Lemieux battling Marchment for it. Buskus able to clear the zone. Marchment puts it inside the Pittsburgh territory, only to have that cleared right back. Mario Lemieux tried to send Tocchet over the line, and he'd been knocked down by Kravchuk. Jaromir turning, the handle away from Lemieux, through center and across the Pittsburgh line, drop pass, Goulet had it, lost it, picks it up again. Michel Goulet lost it in traffic. Lemieux, after stealing it, carries it across the line, sets up Tocchet. Out to Larry Murphy for a shot that went high and wide. Elliott stepped in front of Lemieux, then Lemieux came back with a body hit. Here's Murphy with a drive, he scores! Pittsburgh is back on top, 5-4. Well, I mentioned it was going to be a game of Russian roulette, and the Hawks have pressed and pressed, but they've allowed themselves to be left open defensively. Hasek has saved them. He couldn't save them on this one. The initial rush actually failed, but you saw the shoulder that Mario Lemieux put into Chris Chelios in the corner, sprung the puck loose. Larry Murphy with just a high shot that caught the absolute top corner of the net. Watch Hasek. Does he even see this? Screen in front. Well, if he saw it too late. Wasn't able to get to it. And the Penguins lead 5-4.
Larry Murphy's goal just before the 5-minute mark of the third period has Pittsburgh on top 5-4. They've had 6 shots for the Hawks, 1 here in this third period, and Pittsburgh able to clear the zone. Buskus banged it off the boards. It's recovered by Jocelyn Lemieux. Can't get Mateau open. Now Lemieux works it in a little deeper. Back goes Ron Francis. Lemieux right on him. Lemieux from back of the net. Had Larmer open in front. It comes back to Buskus. Buskus with a shot. That's blocked. Lemieux handed away from Ulf Samuelsson, but Phil Bourque was there, and it shot down the ice. Both teams in the middle of player changes. Steve Smith went back to the puck. Smith twisting and turning to get away from Jagr. Laid it off the board. Kjell Samuelsson fed impact to Troy Loney. Up ahead to Jagr. Jagr reaching for it. Taken to the corner by Steve Smith. The puck goes back to that Chicago goal. Chelios chases it. There's Chelios. Gilbert. And Gilbert got it through center, but Pack able to move it on into the Chicago zone. Once more it's Chelios with a cross-ice pass to Gilbert. Greg Gilbert moves it towards center ice. Penguins able to play it to the Chicago line. Here is Chelios. Chelios dumps it in, and the Hawks give chase. Ron Brown from back of the net out in front, and Roenick shot hit the outside of the goal. They continue to battle for it. Gilbert takes the man. Roenick takes the puck. Carries it back. Chelios with a shot. That just missed. Oh, and a rebound went wide. The Hawks battling deep in that Pittsburgh zone. Chelios off the boards now with a shot that was blocked. Big rebound. It's recovered by Jagr. Up to Trottier. Trottier plays it in around Kravchuk, and Chelios places it behind the net. Jagr tied him up momentarily. Now Kravchuk gets to it. Kravchuk to Grimson. Grimson nudges it onto the stick of Hudson. He shoots off a sharp angle, and Barrasso got a chunk of that. Evan Stevens plays it towards center ice. Recovered here by the Chicago defense. Kravchuk hard around the boards. Grimson flooded the right wing side. Graham stepped in, but he ran into a check from Samuelson, and the Blackhawks are forced out to center ice. Rick Tocchet to Mario Lemieux. Now 2-on-1. Here's Stevens. Takes the pass and shot it off the heel of his stick. Stevens found Lemieux back to the net. Puts it in front, and Hasek covers that. Referee Van Helleman lets him play the puck. And the Hawks start out of the zone. Pittsburgh leads 5-4. 12.5 minutes to go in the third period. Penguins look for an outlet. Long shot. Bounces through the goal crease, so there'll be no icing. Pittsburgh in the middle of the change. The Hawks start up ice. This is Steve Smith. He puts it in the far corner. Off Barrasso's stick. Recovered by Pat. To McEachran. He is pulled over. Big hit going by Brian Marchment. The Hawks trying to pinch in, but the Penguins get the puck out. Ron Francis after it. 2-on-1 again. Francis with McEachran. The shot, the goal by Francis. Pittsburgh up by 2.
And the Blackhawks absolutely hit the chamber that had the bullet in it on that one. You can only give the Pittsburgh Penguins so many 2-on-1s and 3-on-2s. And it has been a steady diet of that for the Penguins here in the third period. If not for Dominik Hasek, this game would have been over probably 5 minutes ago. But Ron Francis executes perfectly. Sean McEachran was getting closed on. Marchment was closing in on him. So Ron Francis pulled out of the pass, moved it into a shooting position, beat Dominik Hasek to the short side. One of the unsung heroes for the Pittsburgh Penguins in this series and throughout the playoffs. It's just given the Penguins a 2-goal lead. Why do I have the feeling there's more to come from the Hawks?
Now we'll see what their medal is now. It'll be tested here. Murphy was the recipient of his 6th goal of the playoffs, and now Francis has 8. And just before the 8-minute mark of the third period, Pittsburgh has a 6-4 lead over the Chicago Blackhawks. Trying to win the Stanley Cup Championship round in 1992 in a sweep. Bill Bork carries it through center and dumps it in, and then the Penguins go for a player change. The Hawks pick up the puck. Grimson open on the left side. It's over the line, but Jocelyn Lemieux stepped in ahead of him, and that puts the whole play offside. We still have 11 minutes and 28 seconds left in this third period. The 1992 championships are on Sports Channel America.
It had to happen, and it's happened twice. The Penguins going 6-4 up with just over 11 minutes left. Ron Francis taking full advantage of one of many 2-on-1s they've had in this third period.
Yeah, the previous 2-on-1, Hasek read well. It was a pass from Lemieux, but this time I think he was expecting a little bit of the pass, but Francis just picked him well off in the shorthand side. Beautiful goal. The 2 goals advantage that Pittsburgh were looking for.
They finally got it with 11 minutes left.
Well, the Penguin ownership appears to be ready to celebrate. In the middle of your picture, one of the ownership group in Pittsburgh. His son, Howard Jr., on the left of your picture, must have just said something that Pop didn't agree with. A little grimace, but it may be a little early to start the celebration. The Chicago team going in across the line. Marchment with a weak shot. Handled by Barrasso, and Hope Samuelson moves it around the boards. Roy Loney gets it towards center ice, and Trottier picks it up. 3-on-1 this time. Now 3-on-2. Trottier goes back to the net, put it in front. And Larry Murphy, the third man in deep, got checked, and out come the Hawks. But look at the way the Penguins get back. Jeremy Roenick is checked by Jaromir Jagr. Larry Murphy, he flips it high in the air. Gives the Penguins a chance to change before Chelios got back to the puck.
Boy, are they changing quickly. 25, 30-second shifts maximum for the Penguins right now.
Mario Lemieux clears the puck into the center ice area. It's taken here by Steve Smith off the boards, right to Kevin Stevens, who played it to right wing, and Lemieux raced it after it, but shot it wide. Steve Smith to Rob Brown. With Brent Sutter had trouble handling it, and shot down the ice by Pack, picked up by Lemieux. 1-on-1 with Chelios, and he shot it off the defenseman and on into the seats. Still 10 minutes, 15 seconds left in the third period as we pause now for a regional break. The 1992 Stanley Cup Championship round, Penguins and Blackhawks on Sports Channel America.
John, we can't fault Chicago's spirit. Can they come back?
I don't think so. Unfortunately, for from their point of view, because they've been coming down, trying to get into the Pittsburgh end, but there's two defensemen there. Pittsburgh are back-checking. You're getting back-checking from Lemieux, Jagr, and then down the other end, it's a 2-on-1, 3-on-1 chance for Pittsburgh. So
they still look the more likely team to score, don't they?
Definitely, yeah.
Notes for your Stanley Cup scrapbook. In 1992, the Blackhawks ran off 11 consecutive wins until they met the Penguins. Pittsburgh has won 10 in a row. A win here tonight, and they tie the numbers. And yes, Badger Bob Johnson, who took this Pittsburgh team to the championship a year ago, is smiling tonight. 10 minutes, 15 seconds remaining in the third period. Blackhawks chasing a loose puck. Steve Smith unable to get Brent Sutter open at the blue line. Jim Pack, there's the zone. Rick Tocchet trying to free it up from Marchment. Has a hold of Marchment's stick. Now releases him in time. Well, Samuelson ties up Marchment, allowing Kevin Stevens to clear it out. Center ice. Well, Samuelson pushed it down into the Chicago zone. Smith across the Buskas. Up to Larmer, long pass, knocked out of the air by Shell Samuelson, recovered here by Jocelyn Lemieux. Lemieux moves through center, three Penguins back, a long shot turned aside by Barrasso. Jocelyn Lemieux can't get it to the man at the point, and here's Mario Lemieux. He'll just softly dump it into the Chicago zone, and the Penguins go for a player change. Kravchuk with a long pass, didn't get it to Dirk Graham in time. Now at center ice, it's Igor Kravchuk. Got it across the Pittsburgh line. McEachran butted it out of the air. McEachran partially intercepting that pass, only to have it dumped in by the Blackhawks. 9 minutes left in the third period. 6-4 Pittsburgh. Here's Dirk Graham. Graham trying to go through a whole bunch of Penguins. Now Chelios from the blue line, trying to step in around Bort. Out to back. Kravchuk with a shot. Off the stick of Francis and into the press box. Under 9 minutes to play in this, the fourth game of the 1992 Stanley Cup Championship. Pittsburgh leads by a deuce.
Well, we've seen this fella shut the stable door before. Scotty Bowman, when he's got a lead, he's very good at hanging on to it.
Yeah, Chicago desperately need a goal to get back into this game. It's the first time in the game that Pittsburgh have got the 2-goal advantage, and they'll be looking to maintain that 2-goal advantage as well by shutting down Chicago and forcing them to take long shots.
So, the Pittsburgh Penguins closing in on their second straight Stanley Cup.
Live at Chicago Stadium, Ron Francis maybe got the big push that Pittsburgh needed with their 6th goal of the game. The 7:59 mark of this period is out to face off against Jaromir Roenick.
Well, the Penguins now are able to let the puck do all of the work. Even Mario Lemieux's line, if they're even a little bit tired, get to center, dump it in, go for a line change.
Chicago flooding the zone. Grimson picked up the puck. Out in front, they score! Roenick!
Never say die. Larry Murphy fell in the corner. And as a result, the Hawks were able to get full control of the puck in the corner, rifle it out front at a sharp angle. Tom Barrasso had no choice but to angle it right back out in front, and it dropped right on the stick of Jaromir Roenick, who plowed it home. And we're back to 1 goal.
11:18, the time of that goal. The Hawks chase back into their own zone after the dump in. Steve Smith rounds the net. Pache on the forecheck. The pass went to Buskas. Plays it away from Jagr, then took a hit from Jaromir Jagr. The Penguins play it on into the Chicago end of the ice. Steve Larmer rounds the net. Up the right side to Rob Brown. Trache tight on him, knocked Brown off balance. The Hawks get it over the line, but it's offside. 8 minutes and 13 seconds left in the third period. The goal by Roenick cuts the margin. It's Pittsburgh 6, the Blackhawks 5 with 8 minutes to play.
Well, has he come good at the right time or what? 2 goals for JR, and I'm not convinced this one's over yet, John.
Yeah, there's still plenty of hockey left in this game. Roenick scored 2 goals. Maybe the guy you see in the picture there just going off screen, Larmer, he'll come up big. But 1 goal left. I think there's about 7 or 8 minutes left in this game. Only 1 goal between them.
Still close. Scotty Bowman's not counting this one. The old stager knows it ain't over till it's over. And believe me, this one is far from over.
Face-off is outside the Pittsburgh blue line. Brian Trottier against Jaromir Roenick on this draw. Stu Grimson is on the left side. Steve Larmer is on the right. That's the Chicago forward line. Jagr to the right, Loney to the left. And Trottier in the middle for Pittsburgh. Brian Trottier looking for a 6th Stanley Cup ring. He's dumped the puck into the Chicago zone. Jagr is checked. Roenick moves it around to Grimson. Grimson and Busquets assisted on that goal by Roenick, and here's Grimson across the line. Puts it back in the net for Roenick. Off his stick. Larmer got knocked off balance, but moved the puck to Chelios. A long shot. Just skipped off the post. Jagr picks it up. Jagr through center. 3 Hawks back. 3 Penguins move in. Jagr with a pass, and it's intercepted by Chelios. Here's Chelios out to Steve Larmer. Roenick open on left wing, but he couldn't accept the pass. Al Samuelson steps over center ice and dumps it to the far corner in the Chicago end. Pittsburgh in the middle of a change as Chelios had it slip off his stick, but he's recovered down. It's across the line. Got checked. And Mario Lemieux starts out. Here's the pass to Stevens. Back to Tocchet, to Lemieux on the backhand, and he couldn't handle the pass. And Steve Smith cross-checked him, and Lemieux goes right back at Smith. They scuffle in the corner. Grimson without a stick, or Graham rather, kicked it behind the net. And the Hawks get it out of the zone. Jimmy Pack, under 7 minutes to play in a 1-goal game. The Penguins playing right down into the Chicago goal bout. Here is Steve Smith. Up to Brian Marchment. Marchment able to find Larmer. He's dumped it in, and Brent Sutter gives chase. Barrasso plays it around the boards, and Tocchet can't get it out of the zone. Bateau trying to put it in front, but it hit Murphy. Larry Murphy got to center, backhanded the puck into the Chicago end. Again, and tossed up in. Pittsburgh on a change, and Kravchuk moves it up to Bateau. Bateau rushes across the line. Sutter trailing. Bateau didn't drop it, and the Penguins take over again. Here's Ron Francis shooting it in. Hasek a little trouble with it, but he's giving it down to Chelios, around to the open corner, and Phil Bourque is the only guy there. Puts it in front. Here to side, and recovered by Bateau. Onto the stick of Jocelyn Lemieux. He dumps it in, and the Hawks will change up. This is off Samuelson. Found McEachran open. Found McEachran bumped solidly by Grimson. And Smith sends Roenick to the right side. Jaromir Roenick stick handling around Loney. Trying to center one. Got it through, but Larmer is well covered. And Troy Loney, good hand-eye coordination, made contact with the puck up in the air and has iced it. 5.5 minutes left in the 3rd period.
So, anxiety on both benches. What's the strategy?
Well, I think Keane has got to go with his best players. He's got to have Chelios and Smith in the back, Roenick, Larmer, Graham up front. He'll be using about 6 or 7 players for the last 5 minutes. He's got to go with it, because if they lose this game, they're at the golf course tomorrow without no Stanley Cup ring on their finger.
And if it comes down to the last minute or so, no doubt we'll see a 6-on-5 as well.
No question, the crowd came to Chicago Stadium with an attitude. So did the Blackhawks. The game was tied 4-4 going to the 3rd period tonight. And then Larry Murphy scored from Tocchet at 4:51. Ron Francis made it 6-4 from McEachran and Pack just before the 8-minute mark. And Jaromir Roenick with assists to Grimson and Busquets at 11:18. That's where we stand. Pittsburgh 6, Chicago 5. 5.5 minutes remaining in the 3rd period. Roy Loney for Pittsburgh is able to clear the zone, and Brian Marchment shoots it right back in. Samuelson rings it around the boards. It comes to Kravchuk, kicks it in. Got the play onside, but a battle for it on the boards, and Graham was crunched solidly by Loney. Kravchuk goes back for Chicago, gave it to Chelios. Noonan, who's dumped it in. Graham's effort to get to it doesn't succeed, and the Hawks again have to set up at center. Kravchuk with a pass to Marchment. Noonan. Out of Dirk Graham, a turnaround shot off the stick of Barrasso. Comes to the right wing boards, and it's controlled by Trottier. Ryan Trottier will shoot it in from center ice. Nick leaves it for Steve Smith, and Jagr is right on him. There's Brent Sutter for the Blackhawks. Sutter takes a look. The pass is to Chelios. Up the left wing boards. Chris Chelios puts it in the far corner. Jim Pack is there, knocking it away from the toe. Steve Smith held it at the line, but his effort is tipped and out of play. Now 4 minutes and 34 seconds left in the third period.
Boy, what a change in both the Hawks and Scotty Bowman's Penguins. The Penguins now trying to screen out on the play when the dump-ins are executed by the Blackhawks. One guy's responsibility is to take the forechecker out of the play. The Penguins haven't had much trouble in getting out of the zone. Mike Keenan's guys haven't had much success in the last couple of minutes since making this a one-goal game and generating the forecheck. And when the Penguins get to center, 4 times at least out of 5, they dump it in and go for a quick change.
Each team has had 28 shots on goal. Game was 3-3 at the end of the first, 4-4 at the end of the second. Now 6-5 with 4 minutes and 34 seconds remaining in regulation time. Mario Lemieux is centering. Kevin Stevens on the left, Rick Tocchet on the right. Chicago with Jocelyn Lemieux, Brent Sutter, and Rob Brown together. Brown, number 22. A check behind the net. Busquets pinches in. Lemieux backing him up. Rob Brown jabbing at the puck. It's tied up on the boards and now is called. Held there long enough to bring about a face-off. 4 minutes and 14 seconds left. Let's check in with John Davidson.
Thanks, Jiggs. I've got with me Scott Morrison, who is the president of the Professional Hockey Writers Association and in charge of the balloting for the Conn Smythe Trophy. Is it an obvious choice?
Well, like it was last year, I think it's fairly obvious, but 25 ballots have been distributed and collected, and they're being tabulated right now. And basically how we conduct it is 3 votes, 5-3-1 point system, and we'll see how it adds up, but I think it's fairly certain who the winner will be.
66, Mario Lemieux. So more of a question of who comes second.
Well, it's probably second and third, and there's a number of good choices. Jagr, Barrasso, Rick Tocchet, maybe a Kevin Stevens, but number 1 is certain.
Thanks, Scott. Jigger?
Well, we'll have to wait and see. This game isn't over yet, is it?
What happens if it goes to 7 games? The ballots, I'm sure, get ripped up and they start again.
I would think so. Burnham. The Hawks being singed at the moment. Is there enough left to get them even? The Penguins are offside as they move into the Chicago zone. Now a matter of 4 minutes and 2 seconds remaining in the third period.
Boy, the Penguins will take all of the stoppages they can get right now. That will take away from the crowd, take away from any momentum that the Hawks can muster. But meanwhile, while we sit up top, down below, 19 stairs down below, the Stanley Cup is getting ready for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Should they be able to hang on? And behind the play, not much has changed. Tough sledding. Dirk Graham and Ulf Samuelsson.
The Hawks win the draw. Chelios. Kravchuk, who played it to Roenick, who dumped it in. Barrasso hard around the boards. Off Roenick to Kravchuk. Back to Roenick. To the point for Chelios. Through that screen, but he can't get it through everybody. On McEachran to Ron Francis. Francis able to guide it down the boards, and Chelios will recover. Francis very smartly and stepped over center ice before playing it on into the zone. And here's Chris Chelios. Now responding as Chelios gets to center ice and puts it in the Pittsburgh zone. A delayed offside. And called now as the Blackhawks make contact with the puck. Down to 3 minutes and 23 seconds in regulation time.
And these 3 minutes and 23 seconds are going to drag on and on and on if you're a Penguin fan.
Yeah, your palms are sweating there, Nick.
Yeah, I tell you. As Ulfie goes off, you saw him getting involved with Dirk Graham there. But I suppose it really is just a case of now of hang on, weather the storm for the Penguins.
Yeah, and they've just got to clear the puck, do the basics again, because so many times in this situation, a fluky goal can decide it.
That's right. 3.5 minutes left.
You look along the Chicago bench. Is there somebody there that can score in the final 3 minutes and 23 seconds to tie this game and maybe bring about overtime?
But these heads aren't hanging as low as they were in Game 3, and they only had 1 goal to make up in that game. But this is a different Blackhawks team. They've been able to score in this one.
Jagr, who scored the opening goal of the game, takes a hit from Buskus as he dumped the puck in, and Graham recovers. Graham had a hat trick in the first period, a 3-goal performance. Didn't get Brian Marchment out of the zone. Now Steve Smith checks his options, passes the puck to Dirk Graham. Over the line with Marchment. Graham with a little burst, and the shot turned aside. Larry Murphy up ahead to Jagr. Jaromir Jagr steps around Buskus. Jagr to the backhand, has it on the forehand again. Look at the checking job by Marchment, and Jagr puts it back to the net for Mario. Mario Lemieux finds a dipsy doodle play. Look at the man handle the puck. Over to Loney, shoots one. Hasek has it in the catching glove and has held it long enough to bring him out of play stopping.
What an incredible display of individual talent. Should the Penguins hang on to win this one, you could look back at this sequence as if they came onto the ice to prove to the world that they are in fact in control of this. Mario Lemieux between the skates just about backfired. And then a tremendous move to elude Brian Noonan, and then ultimately the pass to Troy Loney, and Jagr duplicated all of those moves when he had the puck just before that. But 2:34 to go.
Very first time that Scotty Bowman, as a coach, won a Stanley Cup was a series against the Chicago Blackhawks when Scotty was coaching in Montreal. A few years later, he would start a string of 4 consecutive. Lemieux is with Stevens and Tocchet for Pittsburgh. The Hawks have Brent Sutter to take the draw. Stu Grimson is out on the ice. So is Jocelyn Lemieux for Chicago. The puck comes to center and is shot right back in by Old Samuelson. Dominic Hasek gave it to Chris Chelios. Now to Stu Grimson. Grimson up through center ice. Slaps one high and up into the seats. 2 minutes, 19 seconds left in the third period.
Tom Barrasso came out and barked at Stu Grimson. They had a little set to about 6 minutes ago. Grimson skated through the crease after a whistle had blown, and he hooked Tom Barrasso's stick after a save. Barrasso shot the puck at him and hit him in the back of the skates. Wasn't much, but this is just a continuation of that. And Stu Grimson is being rewarded with ice time here in an obvious crucial situation. Rewarded by Mike Keenan because he was instrumental in the 5th Chicago goal.
What a story this man has been. Coming in to replace starting goaltender Ed Belfour. Mario Lemieux was stopped 3 times in the second period, once here in the third on a clear-cut breakaway by Hasek. The score could have been much different than what it is at 6-5.
He's allowed 4 goals, and he's been fantastic.
Now the Penguins hemmed into their own zone, but the puck jumps over the stick. Buskus turns, plays it to the blue line. Larry Murphy once more flips it down the ice, but this had too much on it. Icing call against Pittsburgh. 121 ticks of the clock left in regulation time. 2 minutes, 1 second. Big face-off in the Pittsburgh zone.
This is just a terrible time emotionally for both of these teams. The Penguins can taste it. They've got adrenaline running through every part of their bodies. The Chicago Blackhawks realize that if they can't do something here, their season will end in 2 minutes. This is as pressurized as it gets for both teams.
Chicago has Brian Noonan at center ice, Rob Brown on left wing, Dirk Graham on the right side. Ron Buskus and Steve Smith at the points for Pittsburgh. Brian Trottier. Ron Francis is out as well, so is Mario Lemieux. So basically 3 centermen if anybody should get thrown out of the face-off. They've got backup, but Trottier wins the draw. Paul Samuelson around to Larry Murphy, hit solidly by Brown. The puck stays in the Pittsburgh zone. Murphy clears it out this time. He hops, skips, and jumps down into the zone. No icing, Buskus back. Under 2 minutes to go in the third period. Here's Dirk Graham. The pass to Rob Brown. Across the Pittsburgh line, the former Penguin is hauled off his feet by Mario Lemieux. The puck comes back to Steve Smith, and he can't get the shot through a crowd. Larry Murphy using the boards and sent Lemieux away. Lemieux with Bill Bourque. The pass to Bourque went through him. Steve Smith out of the corner for the Blackhawks. Stops it back to Chelios.
Boy, the Pittsburgh Penguins are just pulling out. 5 guys back. Loney with token pressure. 4 men back on the Penguins side of center. Now Lemieux's coming in for token pressure.
And the Hawks move through center ice. Chelios hard around the boards. Barrasso lets it go to the corner. Phil Bourque can't clear it out. Goulet pinching in, but now the Penguins have skied it towards center ice. Igor Kravchuk to Jeremy Roenick. 1 minute to go. Hasek starts under the net. Goulet chases a loose puck into the zone, and Barrasso is out to play it. Barrasso hard around the boards. Roenick knocked it down. The Hawks get the extra man on. Hasek is on the bench. Goulet has the puck. Goulet can't center it. Brent Sutter goes back to the net. Put it in front. It comes back to Kravchuk at the line. In around the boards. It jumped away from Roenick. Right in front, and it's grabbed and held by goaltender Tom Barrasso. Heart-stopping action. 39.3 seconds left. Shots are even, 29 apiece.
Boy, Tom Barrasso had to be so sharp to stop this one, and he started the play by coming out and trying to take matters into his own hands. Now he tried to get it out, and it was stopped along the boards. And once it was stopped along the boards, he had to scramble to get back, and the Hawks had 2 good chances to tie this game.
Here comes this mighty Chicago crowd. Six attackers on the ice. Over 18,000 more attackers for the Blackhawks in the seat. Is this the push they need? Mike Keenan has sent out Goulet, Sutter, Graham, Roenick, Lemieux, and Chelios. Sutter and Trottier on the faceoff, but some movement before the puck was dropped. Mario Lemieux is out on the ice, so is Ron Francis. All Samuelson and Larry Murphy. The Penguins get the draw, and All Samuelson plays it up the boards. Francis got it to the line, held in by Chicago. And then Larmer gets checked, and Chelios has to chase a loose puck. There's Chelios. And Jeremy Roenick, but through him, and Trottier at the line dumps it back in. Play is onside. Here's your time ticking down, and Brent Sutter brings the Hawks into center with a pass to Roenick. Roenick up the middle, shift to the forehand, and shot it wide. Trottier gets it off the board. Chelios at the point. Into Goulet, who hit the post. This is Dirk Graham out of the corner. 5 seconds left. Larmer looks for somebody in front. One last chance. Chelios, not enough time. It's all over. The Pittsburgh Penguins have repeated as Stanley Cup champs.
That the toughest game is the elimination game. Well, the Chicago Blackhawks, if they're going to take any pride from this series, will take a whole bunch of it from this game. Down so many times, only to fight back so many times.
There is the Stanley Cup. Ready for presentation. Mario Lemieux. Pittsburgh Penguins. Let's join Mike Everett.
Congratulations, Joe. This is the first time ever for you. Put your thoughts into words either in Swedish or English. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Oh, the goal. The Wilson Hawkins is unbelievable. Congratulations. They're making the trip down for the handshakes. Right now it was